107 degrees in downtown St. Louis. We're going to be seeing a few chances of some isolated showers and storms, some of which could have some stronger winds. Then into Friday, a few isolated chances of showers and storms drying up by the second half of the day. 98 degrees Friday. This weekend, we continue our first alert weather day coverage, so lasting through Sunday as it feels like temperatures all continue to climb back towards the triple-digit threshold. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gosh.
We know it's early. Mike's not totally awake yet either. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
You've probably seen this on your social media. Maybe you've seen it on some news coverage. People going out of their way, taking things into their own hands, and physically cutting down flock cameras around the country. Jerome, what are you so excited? Calm down, Jerome. Okay, we'll get to that in a little bit here. Is that the best tactic? Well, one of the conservative constitutionalist law firms, the Pacific Legal Foundation, they sue the government all the time. They're arguing not a good idea. There's a better way to fight these things. And they say there is a Fourth Amendment possible problem with them. So is the saw or the hammer better than the courtroom or vice versa? We're going to get to that a little bit later on today. Hey, good morning. Happy Thursday. Don't forget, tomorrow's show is going to be from Mario's Donut Restaurant on Mugie Road in St. Charles. Man, we're going to have a lot of special guests stepping in and out and joining us on the program. You can meet at least one of our statewide elected officials. They're going to be at Mario's. That's all I can say at this point for a few different reasons, but I hope you can make it out. I mean, you're going to get a cup of coffee, you're going to get a donut, maybe a breakfast sandwich somewhere. So come on out, get it from Mario's, and say hi. Let's visit tomorrow. All right, so this coming weekend, after Friday, obviously this weekend, we are going to have a really special event. It's for our friends at the Freedom 13, and Mark Schmitz, founder of the Freedom 13, father of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, who was killed in that terrorist attack in Kabul about 5 years ago. He joined us on the Wednesday's program to give us the update on the big Freedom 13 Angels of Abbey Gate ride that's coming up this weekend and how you can be involved and some other ways that you can put some sweat equity into caring for our veterans and first responders who need to do some healing. You got a big weekend coming up here with the big Angels of Abbey Gate Memorial Ride that's happening, and it's happening Saturday. And I think a lot of people thought, well, isn't it too late to get involved? But it sounds like it's not.
No, absolutely not. We actually take registrations the day of. So you've got today, tomorrow. You got a few days to get on the list. And even if you have to wait to the very last minute, you can show up at one of the 13 different launch points, which can all be found on our website, freedom13.org. But we made it convenient to you can start at any one of the 13 launch points. Everybody rides into the Mid-Rivers Mall here in St. Peter's at the old Sears parking lot. So we all stage up there and then get a police escort from the wonderful guys at the St. Louis Police Department, and I believe a couple of counties or state troopers are helping out as well to block the way for us to go from the mall to Lakeside 370 Park. And that's where everybody will finalize and finish the staging down there. And then once they come in, you'll be greeted by a bunch of food trucks. Our Barley and Vine drink truck will be on site serving drinks. And then we'll have a whole bunch of great vendors, many of which are there to help veterans and first responders with many different things. So a lot of great groups of people that all have one common denominator, and that's to help our beloved first responders. And then at 1 o'clock, the music starts. Super Jam is playing in concert until 4 o'clock. So it's going to be a great day.
It does sound great. Mark, what time does everything start on Saturday? And is this the first ride like this, or is this a continuation?
So this is the 5-year anniversary of the bombing at the Abbey Gate, where we lost the 13 service members in Kabul, Afghanistan. But this is our third consecutive year doing a ride. Last year we had about 850 total participants come out. I mean, it was a fantastic sight to see. So no, it's our third year now doing this, and bigger is better, of course, but we're always happy to have just hundreds of people coming together, and hopefully eventually thousands. We'd love to make this like a mini Sturgis event right here in St. Louis. And it's great to see people that still care. They remember my son, and of course all those that made the ultimate sacrifice, and then those that are still with us, suffering from the invisible wounds that they've experienced through their service. And it's great to see people out there that just still care.
Yeah, and Mark, you just mentioned, among the 13 from Abbygate, your son, Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, and it always strikes me, and we talk about this every time you and I chat. There's some element of this, is that you've got this massive event, hundreds, maybe 1,000 different vehicles involved with this, a big party and food trucks and concert, and all of this came from the most tragic news that any family can hear. And can experience and can feel. So when people are getting involved because they want to support the mission, all the positive things you're doing now, talk about, I guess, maybe those mixed feelings, because if obviously every family would want their loved one back, but now that we had that tragedy of the terrorist attack in Kabul, what you all are doing with this is just phenomenal. And so I know that that's never far from anybody's mind, and I hope while people are enjoying the food trucks and enjoying the concert and dancing away and having drinks, that they're remembering where all of this started.
Yeah, it's a lot like Memorial Day. Everybody's out partying and barbecuing and having a great time. And my son would not want me to sit around depressed the rest of my life. We grieve in our own way privately, and when we have the opportunity to bring a lot of like-minded people together that all share one common love for our military, love for our law enforcement, and that presents itself as a fundraiser. And then that fundraiser helps us fund our overall mission, which, of course, is building recreational healing camps around the country for these same people, the veterans and law enforcement, first responders that are still with us, and help them with the healing process of getting through some of these struggles that many of us would never even understand, because we haven't seen and witnessed the things that these people have seen. So it's a monumental undertaking. I have mixed feelings about the party environment, but at the same time, I know my son would, we can't change the past. So he would want us to keep our chins up, move forward, and celebrate their sacrifice more than anything. And so that's what we're doing. And, this is not our biggest event of the year. It's our biggest and only ride of the year. But our biggest event of the year is always our gala, which is in February. Mm-hmm. So, that'll be coming up again in this coming February, the 27th. But this is more of a bring everybody together. It's a very affordable event. It's only $35 per participant, whether you're a driver, a rider, passenger, it doesn't matter. You get a free shirt out of it, and it's great. I love walking around town, and I'm in Sam's, and there's somebody wearing our ride shirt from last year, and it just it helps promote what it is that we're trying to do, and it keeps awareness out there. And there's well more than 13 that we've lost over the years. Sure. There's been hundreds of thousands, and this is an honor of all of them, really. But our main focus right now is our 13, of course. But there's so many wonderful people that have done things for this country that nobody else can say they've done. It's a very small percentage.
Absolutely. Mark, this might be kind of a weird question, but this is like right in my neck of the woods. This is literally like goes right by where I live. Is this something where people kind of line the way too, in addition to going down to Lakeside 370?
No, not really. Because
gotcha.
It's such a quick pass by.
Yep.
If somebody wanted to, sure. But it's not like it's homecoming by any means. It's.
Gotcha.
I would encourage people to be in the ride versus waving at it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If you happen to be in one of those intersections and you see this monster caravan of bikers and jeepers and all that roll through, by all means, get out and show their support to them. But it's going to be a very quick ride from Mid Rivers Mall to Lakeside 370 Park there. So, I just encourage people to come out. And if you can't make the ride, you can always still show up at the park and participate that way as well. We have a Freedom 13 tent set up where if there's any shirts left, you can purchase a shirt even if you weren't part of the ride. And we've got a lot of other shirts still that we're selling, and flags. And we actually had Well, everybody knows about our Freedom 13 custom American flag that's got all 13 names on it. We just had a 10-foot by 20-foot replica of that made, and we plan to unveil it at the ride at the park. I haven't even seen it yet. I'm looking at it right now. It's still folded up. So it'll be a first for me to even see this thing. But it's a monster flag, and it's got all 13 names, and to see that just blowing in the wind is going to be something.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to get a preview of what that looks like, just go on to the video stream right now because it's right behind Jerome. You know, you gave us that here at News Talk, and it has not come down, and it's not going to come down. That's displayed with every program that we have here. We're visiting with Mark Schmitz from the Freedom 13, father of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. You mentioned the camps. Obviously, this is fundraising for these healing camps right here. A couple of volunteer days coming up. But looks like later this month in about 10 days on the 22nd, then again in September, mid-September. What are some of the things that you need done these next couple of rounds? Because I want to put that out there because somebody's going to hear, oh, wait a minute, I know how to do that. Or wait a minute, my church group or my whatever group, we could handle part of that. What is it that needs to be done in the next steps of the volunteer days?
Well, every volunteer day, there's yard maintenance to be done. That's for sure. We've got 171 acres out there, so there's always weed whacking and mowing and things of that nature. But we're actually in the midst right now of putting in 3,000-pound cement blocks as a retaining wall for our 40-foot shipping container Connex pavilion that we're installing. So that's going to be one of the agendas on the 22nd. To get ready to lay concrete for that and then move our shipping containers on top of it and then build the roof structure, which will be a great place to have events, to store some of the big farm machinery we have there. We have, from last year's gala, we were $82,000 shy of raising $1 million. It was a fantastic gala that we had for 2026, and that enabled us to afford to purchase 3 more homes. So we're getting ready to break ground on that. These will all be built on slabs, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, and a 3-bedroom. So, we'll need help with that eventually. We plan to have those done and up before the end of the year. That'll put us at 5 out of the 13 houses built. We're going to be trying to track down a large 42 to 45 foot grain silo topper to build a gazebo out there, and that'll be a sight to see where all the guests can come and gather underneath that, watch a ball game at night, sit around the campfire. We plan to install a very, very large koi pond right near that structure so they can sit there, watch the fire, watch the fish. You know, it's very therapeutic, just being able to mentally check out, take a knee for a week and just relax. But there's plenty of things that can be done. And, if you're not much in the physical labor, there's, the 2 houses that are already on site now, they're always needing to be cleaned. And, there's something for everybody. I've had kids out there helping with families, and larger corporations have reached out to do their own rent day, if you will. They come out and do their own private volunteer day, off book, and we can set that up as well. So we generally have somebody on site most days. Craig, our brand ambassador, he's our camp director. He'll be on ground most of the time anyway. So, we encourage anybody that wants to know more about it to reach out. We can give private tours and drive them around the property so they can see the 5 miles of hiking trails that we have. And I mean, it's really starting to come together. It's a very slow process. Obviously, it's a monumental task, but it is coming together. And we just got a brand new steel roof put on the main house because it desperately needed a new roof. So, very, very excited. And I'll be sharing media. That's what I do for a living, is drone and photography, videography. So I'll certainly be tracking all the progress and putting that out on the socials and stuff so people can see it.
All right, time's running out to get your Flashback Friday bump music request in, so send those to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com. And, of course, we've got a lot more ground to cover here today on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
We're going to start calling you Scott Randolph Hearst Fawn. You've got magazines, newspapers.
Everything you think about the establishment media, you're right. There is a extreme anti-Trump bias, and there's a significant liberal bias. Trump drives these people nuts. If you're trying to do a fair job in media, the Caitlin Collins of the world make your life harder.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
When a child is diagnosed with cancer, the last thing parents should have to worry about is how to pay for it. This is a St. Jude moment.
Imani wouldn't be here if it wasn't for St. Jude, and I can't imagine a better place to be.
You know, it's a cliche thing to say, but I feel like my faith in humanity has been restored. The second we arrived here, we had food, housing, transportation, treatment, you name it, it was taken care of by St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. There was not a single other care in the world except for Imani, because St. Jude made that happen. The best way I can really describe it is this is heaven on earth. To the people who donate to St. Jude, you know, I just want them to know that I don't think anyone in this world or anything in this world has given me a greater gift. We came as two desperate parents, and they saved our daughter's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, I'm going to spare everybody this because I like you all. I'm not going to sing. But I thought about opening up the show with, that old Frank Sinatra song, Love and Marriage. You remember that song? Yeah. You know, what was the Bundys, the show?
I know exactly.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Oh, my. Why am I blinking on that?
Right. Yeah, I'm just brain farting on that. But that was their theme song that they used, with Love and Marriage. Love and Marriage goes together like a horse. Okay, so relationships are in the news. DOJ is cracking down on what they call sham marriages, a network that's been working for over a decade to get Chinese people residency and citizenship by finding Americans willing to go along with a ruse and actually go through a legal marriage.
So kind of like the mail-order bride type scheme.
See, exactly. Now, here's the funny part is I know several people who are in mail-order bride situations. I actually know guys. Matter of fact, my first wife is from the Philippines. Not a mail-order bride. met her here in the U.S. Don't get me wrong, completely regret that, that whole thing. But of her, I think she had three sisters in the United States. Of their very large family. She was the youngest of like 10, and of all of her siblings in the United States, she was the only one who was not a mail order bride.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're and now that's like a big thing now. The whole, of course, now they call it like passport bros.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are like, I'm not gonna find a wife here. I'm just gonna go somewhere else. I don't think that's the same thing. I don't. And maybe we can dissect that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, I think the passport thing is that you like to travel, you like to go to
Right.
cultures and people that have different sort of qualities.
A lot less expensive over there, wherever there is.
Whereas the opposite, I think, is somebody that gets very lonely and is just like, I'm just gonna take my shot.
I see some of these things on social media, and it's like the creepy 60-year-old guy who's like, you know what, I can go to Thailand and find a 24-year-old who will marry, I mean, and that's just gross. It's gross. But there are others who are just like, you know what, hey, they're more feminine, they're more family-oriented, whatever. So they'll go to Colombia, they'll go to Ukraine, they'll go to Thailand, they'll go to the Philippines, they'll go to Vietnam, they'll go all these places. But what we're talking about here is a network run by Chinese immigrants, mostly, according to the DOJ, because they've arrested and charged like 11 people, saying over the last decade or so, over 1,000 sham marriages. Now, these would be legal marriages where somebody got married, did all that. But everything, when I was reading the USA Today article on this and I was reading the DOJ's press release on this morning, they were talking about ruses as far as, okay, you need to go take pictures to make it look like you're a real couple and you'll look happy and celebrate and doing all the things over the course of, 3 administrations to say, they're looking for fake stuff, even under the Biden years. So here's what you got to do to check some boxes to make them go, well, okay, well, maybe you actually like each other, and then get it passed on. So they worked the system in order to get Chinese people residency and citizenship here. And so there's been a lot of criminal charges now on that.
Oh, it's not just Chinese. I know people that were affected by all different groups in Chicago. So I'm glad they're finally cracking down on this. It could be devastating when somebody's taking advantage of like that.
I remember, this was, I don't know, 30 years ago. I had a buddy of mine who was a missionary to Russia. Legitimate missionary. He was over there doing, church stuff. And, he was there when a lot of violence broke down. He had to come. But he met his wife there, a beautiful young woman. They make a great couple. They've got kids. They've been married for 25 years. And Russ and his wife, legitimately met there, got married in Russia, but then came back here and then got married here just to, but that's totally legitimate. But I remember one time we were hanging out and we were all past college and starting our careers. And his wife had a sister that really wanted to come here. And he's like, hey, she really wants to come here. Would you consider like meeting her? Because, we want to find her a husband so she can get here. He didn't have anything like nefarious, but I'm like, wait a minute. You just want me to say I do to get your wife's sister here? Well, yeah, she's really nice and she's beautiful. And he's showing me pictures. She really was. And I'm just like, no, that's not why you do that. You get married for the right reasons. Guys, get married for the right reasons. The right reason is because you want to lose all your stuff later on in life.
Yes.
Do it right. Just say it. Okay, but we'll get into what these criminal charges are because it was like an elaborate thing.
Hey, Jamie Ullman here for Window World. Did you know that Window World offers a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor? They are one of the only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Window World St. Louis has been owned and operated by a group of born and raised St. Louis residents for more than 23 years. And now Window World is offering 36 months same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today. 800-GET-WINDOWS for a free in-home, no-pressure estimate. That's Window World at 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Calling all Patriots. Join the St. Louis County Republicans for the annual Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner, Saturday, September 19th at River City Casino. Our keynote speaker, Newsmax personality Rob Carson. Enjoy a full night of fun and information alongside state and local officials and candidates. It's an evening you won't want to miss. Dinner and program, just $75. For tickets, email Renee Artman at hotmail.com or call 314-398-6667.
JC's Wayback Machine.
Sunday is the anniversary of the King falling off the throne, so we'll crack open our extensive Elvis file. The Beatles performed at Busch Stadium this week in '66. We'll remember the stadium worker whose only job that day was to keep the boys from being electrocuted. And who are these people who talked to the Post and expressed mixed reactions about GNR being here Sunday? Brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code TONY at Intervine.com.
Every 40 seconds, a child disappears. That's 2,000 children every single day. Find the Children is a nonprofit organization fighting to bring them home, but we can't do it without you. Your unwanted car, running or not, can help find missing kids, reunite families, and support the search and rescue efforts that protect children every day. We'll pick it up fast and free with a 24-hour response, and your donation may qualify for a tax deduction. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help locate missing children and educational programs that teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators before it's too late. Together, we can give families hope and bring children home where they belong. Donate your car today and help bring a child home. Find the Children, because every child deserves to come home.
800-757-1340. 800-757-1340. That's 800-757-1340.
This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. A former executive with the Southern Poverty Law Center has been arrested. Attorney General Todd Blanche says former SPLC CFO Heidi Bayuk faces bank fraud and conspiracy charges.
I think as alleged in the indictment, this individual participated in the scheme as alleged. I believe she was part of the effort to open bank accounts in completely fictitious companies' names and make payments that to individuals for reasons that were not that they were not accurate as described.
Bayuk allegedly oversaw fraudulent donor payments to informants inside hate groups, including one with whom she allegedly had a romantic relationship and held a joint bank account with. Parts of Indiana reeling in the midst of powerful storms and unleashed deadly flash flooding. There have been many high water rescues and evacuations, power outages widespread. Other states, including Illinois and Ohio, have also been hard hit. Forecasters warn of the possibility of more rain. How much is an NBA franchise worth these days? In the case of the LA Lakers, a bundle.
The Los Angeles Lakers are being sold to businessmen Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for $12.5 billion, the second time in just over a year. The sale, first reported by ESPN, still needs approval from the NBA's Board of Governors, and that process can take several weeks. The Lakers were valued at $10 billion last year when Mark Walter purchased a controlling stake from the Buss family. Kushner and Iger had also been involved in trying to get an expansion team for Las Vegas, but by buying the Lakers, the two do not have to wait for that decision. If it happens, expansion could take place in the 2028-29 season. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
Wall Street Dow futures are up 118 points. NASDAQ futures 24 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-844-7344. 866-844-7344.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards mid-90s, but feels like temperature could be up to 107 degrees in downtown St. Louis. We're going to be seeing a few chances of some isolated showers and storms, some of which could have some stronger winds. Then into Friday, a few isolated chances of showers and storms drying up by the second half of the day. 98 degrees Friday. This weekend, we continue our first alert weather day coverage, though, lasting through Sunday, as it feels like temperatures all continue to climb back towards the triple-digit threshold. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Hey everyone, this is Jesse from Reach Reproductive Health, and I need you to mark your calendar because on October 22nd, it's going to be a big night in St. Louis. It's going to be our second annual Reach Gala, and it's happening at the factory. Incredible live music, powerful speakers, a night to celebrate life, and to support the Reach mission. Stay tuned to find out who's taking the stage. I promise you won't want to miss it. Registration is open right now at outreachforlife.org/gala.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. Big Mama Thornton and other black artists who did not make the big money white artists did.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Okay, we say it a lot, especially, conservative media, those of us who are law and order, and that we want law enforcement to have all the tools that they need to keep us safe, right?
Sure.
But do we?
There's a catch there.
But do we?
Jerome doesn't.
I want all the tools to keep myself safe.
Well, right.
Yeah. Okay. Many law enforcement agencies, I've noticed this on social media the last couple of days, including I saw one yesterday, was the sheriff of Pulaski County, Missouri. And it was just the latest, who are going on to social media to push back against the pushback of the flock cameras.
Okay.
There's 120,000 of these.
Anti-flockers.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like 120,000 of these around the country now. And we've talked about during the campaign for the August election, that when we saw that, for instance, amendments 4 and 5 were going down hard, we didn't know how hard. But I mentioned there's an old saying in campaigns and politics, if you're explaining, you're losing.
Yes.
They're explaining. Okay. So this is also an area where you're going to see some divisions that don't go along the typical Republican, Democrat, left, right thing as well. Like, for instance, our good buddy Tom Weitzel, Wake, Illinois, big pro-flock camera guy. Mm-hmm. We saw in the race for St. Charles County Executive, Jason Law, defender going, yeah, but there should be all these limits to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bill Eigel would be more of the anti-flock camera thing, and that's all within the conservative movement. I consider all three of those candidates conservatives over there. And so now you've also getting to the point where vigilantism is happening around the country. And people are going to finding ways to say, okay, the flock camera, let's just say, is facing north. It's looking that way. I'm going to come up from the south, and we're going to cut this thing down. And we're seeing cases of that all around the country. Matter of fact, at 7:35, we've got one of the lawyers from our friends at Pacific Legal Foundation making the case for, I don't like the flock cameras, but don't do that.
Okay, I like it already.
So that's where we're at. Okay, so if you want to look at the whole issue itself, our buddy Glenn Jacobs, he was given a speech, and I don't know when it was, but the Young Americans for Liberty group grabbed a clip of it, of him talking about flock cameras. So I grabbed the audio from that. There's a little bit of like the bed music underneath, which I thought was a little bit annoying, but here's what Glenn had to say about it. So just be warned that's got a little dramatic music on there.
These flock cameras are all the rage across the country. The danger with flock cameras is they're sold as license plate readers. We've had those for a long time. License plate reader, your car drives by. If it has a certain license plate number, stolen car, looking for a murderer, Amber Alert, it flags it. Hit, police know the car, pass that camera. Okay, they go look for it. Flock cameras do really the opposite. They collect every license plate. They make a digital fingerprint of your car. Make, model, color, roof rack, bumper stickers. And the real danger is this. When they're deployed in large numbers, they essentially create a warrantless mass surveillance system because they can track your movements. What's interesting is the Supreme Court has already ruled against this sort of thing. 2018, there was a case reached at the Supreme Court, Carpenter versus the United States, in which the FBI had been warrantlessly collecting historic cell phone location data about this Carpenter guy. And the court said, you have to have a warrant to do that. Flock cameras are doing that, but they're doing that literally on steroids. They are a massive threat to our liberty, and it is just not compatible with the values of Americans.
Okay, so dig in a couple of basic things. Glenn was talking about that one case that targeted one guy. This is overall mass thing. Does that make a difference on how the courts tend to look at these sorts of things?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors that play into that. But you're talking about the difference between using a technology that's available to say, okay, we're searching for this person because we think they've kidnapped someone.
Right.
Okay, turn on your stuff. Let's find this plate. Versus we're getting all of your information. We're taking all of your information, and we've got it all uploaded so that if we want to go back and look, it's just like, kind of NSA stuff too.
Right.
There's a whole lot of liberty interests at issue here. And the Supreme Court, I don't think, has squarely addressed this particular technology, what specifically he's talking about. The precedent he's talking about, you can kind of overlay on it. But this is still going to be something that's going to be litigated for, years to come.
Yeah.
Good luck to the lawyers.
Well, the other issue, ignoring the human element where we keep finding people in law enforcement illegally accessing them to stalk and harass people sometimes, is that the technology itself just isn't fully there yet. So there's an article I was reading from the other day where a woman was falsely identified as a participant in a shooting by twice, two different shootings, misidentified the same person because of flock cameras. Cops thought they found the shooter. They pulled her over and held her at gunpoint until they figured out, oh, no, it's another false positive. And we're finding people's license plates are not being read correctly enough times. Like, there are a lot of false positives that are getting people needlessly in trouble with the law.
Well, that's a danger, too. I mean, whether you're talking about human intelligence or artificial intelligence, if there's the capacity for error. So trusting any of it blindly should not be done.
Because and I think I saw that article or one similar to it, like 0 and O.
Which is very tricky.
Yeah, 1 and I or 1 and L, stuff like that.
Sevens and twos, apparently.
Right,
another one.
right.
Yeah, so, the thing of it is, have the technology, use the technology legally, but recognize that there could be a mistake there. It's not 100% guaranteed right all the time.
Yeah, the post that I saw from the Pulaski County Sheriffs. I don't know why it showed up in my feed. I don't follow him. It just kind of showed up there. But
I
it
just
was
wanted to say hi.
Basically, he was arguing. He said, and he made he personalized it. I mean, from a comms perspective, communications perspective, this is what I would have advised him to do if I were like their consultant. And it was, we don't care if you're, going to the park or going to the ball game, and we don't sit there and look through the cameras and watch you and do that. But we have had cases where illegal aliens were suspected of trafficking something, and we had a read on, we had an idea of, what their license plate is or what car, and it flagged it. We chased down, Amber Alert and they're talking about, we found through this technology, we found suspects, we found, missing children, we found, that sort of thing. And I'm sure that I have no doubt that has happened. I mean, there's no doubt that technology has helped apprehend dangerous people or suspected dangerous people. But we have a history in this country of being skeptical to say, okay, you can do good things with this, but you also do bad things with this. What's next? Are you going to put cameras in my house to make sure we prevent domestic violence? I mean, and so that may sound like an absurd question, but how many years ago would we have said, what are you going to do, put cameras everywhere and watch everything we go to prevent? Well, now that's where we are. I mean, that's exactly where we are right now.
Well, and the other implication of this, too, is that because these are connected to a national database, so there's a different case that I was reading about. I can't remember which state it was, the person was coming from, where they went from, but they went from one state, they left the state, followed all the laws and everything, but they went specifically to go get THC products, which were illegal in their home state. So they went out there, they purchased THC, came back, but because the flock cameras was tracking it, they knew exactly that when he arrived at the dispensary and when he was coming back, and they preemptively pulled him over, and they said, oh, yeah, we believe that we have probable cause now to believe that you have illegal substances in your vehicle.
That sounds like a fascinating
he's facing charges over that.
Wow. That's a fascinating.
So you have somebody who is breaking the law.
But you wouldn't know that they were breaking the law if not for the fact that you were tracking them with a AI surveillance state, national database.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's not as clear a case where it's like mistaken identity or somebody who's truly literally done nothing wrong, as opposed to someone who is they're knowingly breaking the law, but the technology is such. Yeah, I mean, I don't. There's no easy answer to this.
No, there's not. And then so we're going to talk to Amy Peikoff at 7:35. So it's going to be a little bit before we talk to her about this. But now we've got situations where we're getting reports of multiple times people knocking these things down, or taking the cutter and taking out the poles, and they're saying, D. Snyder, like that great philosopher D. Snyder, we're not going to take it. And this is somebody else's property, and sometimes it's the government's, and sometimes it's flocks. So there is a property rights issue here.
Either way, doing that is not the legal approach to doing it. But I mean, it's there are no easy answers to this discussion at all.
Tell us what you think. Send us notes on Facebook and Rumble, and tweet at us and all that kind of stuff, because I'm curious what you think about that, because there are some who trust us. We don't hold the data only if there's evidence flagged, and then don't worry about it. So what? We're watching you. So what? We've got that. Believe me, we just delete it. And then another question is somebody renting or buying that data?
Fair question.
I mean, there's got to be valuable marketing information in there.
Of course there is.
I would think.
Well, did you hear?
What did I hear?
St. Louis County is going to have to fire hundreds of police officers unless government raises our taxes. We're going to
let me guess. Before you finish that, let me guess. What? Okay.
We're going to dissect Sam Page's latest rantings at 6:20. So stay tuned.
Your trees do a lot for you. Shade, beauty, curb appeal, but are they safe? Clever Tree Service has been protecting St. Louis homes and landscapes for over 20 years. Pruning, trimming, removal, stump grinding, even 24/7 emergency storm service. Fully insured, eco-friendly, and always focused on you. From Kirkwood to Chesterfield, Webster Groves to Wildwood, your neighbors trust Clever Tree Service. Visit clevertreeservice.com for your free quote today.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder reminding you to check out my new show this weekend.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
Lower your car payment today. Lower your car payment today. Yes, you heard us right. You can lower your car payment right now by making this free call and save up to $1,400 a year on your current car payments. Think about your current car payment right now. What's that costing you per year? Now think about what it would be like to put an extra $1,400 back in your pocket. That's the average savings our customers experience. We can help you drive the same car and pay less every month by lowering your car payment's interest rate to as low as 4.67%. At Rate Genius, we can work with you to refinance any car payment. If you qualify, it costs you nothing to find out how you can lower your car payment. To learn more, call this number right now.
800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. That's 800-493-5670.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Oh boy, we got some reaction on that flock camera thing.
I'm sure we did.
Yeah,
I think people have strong thoughts.
7:35. I want to bring some of that back because we're going to talk to one of the and Pacific Legal Foundation. They make a living suing the government over stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'll just give you the preview. Amy says there's a Fourth Amendment argument here. That's what she says, because that's been one of the things that law enforcement has said. They said there's no Fourth Amendment thing. You're out in public. And she goes, yeah, maybe. But then she's also going to argue, I'll tell you right now, stop running your cars over them and knocking them
that's
down.
not the solution.
Right, that's what we're talking about. But yeah, and I know somebody had some thoughts on it, but I guess their signal wasn't doing well. We couldn't get a hold of,
Yeah, we're having a slight issue with the phone line, so I apologize to whoever was trying to call in to make their comments.
Yeah, okay, so Jay Monty, and then I want to go to the Sam Page thing that Susie was just talking about here. Let's see here, Jay Monty on Rumble. Flock cameras are much like the Patriot Act. In premise, it's great. However, things get used and abused, which then makes something that was supposed to have been good into government overreach and bad.
What's the saying? The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Precisely. All right, it is 6:20 right now. Yeah, to Susie's point, and it's funny because I was just talking to Mark Harder, St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder, about this yesterday. Sam Page really seems to enjoy doing his press conferences and making dire predictions, because I guess he needs something to do in between, hearings in his criminal case and that sort of thing. And he's now going to the media and saying, because taxes didn't get raised unless the county government raises taxes, finds new revenue streams. And he's talking specifically, even though voters said no to Prop U and the online sales tax hike twice, and most recently by a 2-to-1 margin, he says they should put it back on the ballot in November, or the county council should just raise taxes. And the county council's like, yeah, we actually just heard what the voters said, and we're not going to do that. And he's now saying we could have to fire possibly 200 St. Louis County police officers. So I'm talking to Mark Harder about this. Of course, he's just Mark Harder. It's funny because during the last council meeting, he told me, he said, I finally thanked Sam Page and said, glad you've suddenly discovered fiscal restraint and responsibility. Welcome to the discussion. Or something along those lines. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
The party, pal.
Yeah. And first of all, the St. Louis County Police Department has like 150 150 or 160 open positions for police officers that have been approved.
Okay.
So he said, if we do have to cut, he goes, we're just not going to fill positions that are not open.
Right.
So getting them to the media and saying, the numbers don't lie, we could have to lay off 200 police officers.
The numbers don't lie, but I do.
Right. Yeah. And he says, here's the problem with it. He said, we can all roll our eyes because we know that he's full of crap. He said, but I'm getting phone calls from, Mark is telling me, I'm getting phone calls from, commanders saying our young officers are spooked now.
Well, right.
Because the union contract is last in, first out. As part of public sector union contracts, your job is secured, not based on who's best at the job, but who's been there longest. That's how that works.
Yep.
He said, we're worried now. We've got young police officers right out of the academy, 1, 2, 3, 4 years of experience. And they're hearing the county executive saying, we're going to have to fire 200 police officers. And they're like, pretty sure I'm within the last 200. Maybe I should start looking at other jurisdictions just for job security.
Right.
And the unintended consequence, because I don't think Scampage is trying to scare off police officers. I think he's trying to scare the public, and he's trying to scare the government into raising more taxes.
And doesn't care what the effect of that is.
Exactly. And I honestly, until Mark told me that, I hadn't even thought about that. That would have not crossed my mind. He said, he was telling me, he said, think about it. He said, you're a, 27-year-old, 26-year-old graduate from the police academy. You've got this job, which by all accounts, from what I'm being told, St. Louis County, pretty good gig for law enforcement. Law enforcement's going to be tough anywhere, but pretty good gig, and it's going to be hard work. You got areas that are dangerous, but you also have, a good relationship with most of the people and with the government. You don't have to deal with like defund people like you do in St. Louis City. He says, and they're looking around and going, if they're going to cut, if they're going to start laying off, I'm on the chopping block. Okay, what's Jefferson County doing? What's Edwardsville doing? What all these jurisdictions that recruited like crazy out of the city of St. Louis because of the hostility to law enforcement there, and people were leaving for lower paying jobs for more secure environments,
right,
and frankly safer communities.
Yeah. And
he says we could end up potentially, he goes, we're trying to assure them this guy's out the door. None of us believe that. But if you've got a young guy or gal who's early in their career, they're thinking about starting a family, or they have a family, a young family, they're worried about their job security.
Well, you'd be naive not to be
Yeah.
if you hear the chief executive of your county talking in those terms. I mean, you just turn the blind eye and think, oh, no, I don't know how you could expect them to just ignore that and not be concerned about it.
I mean, if you're, let's take that hypothetical 26, 27, 28-year-old, officer, who's starting, maybe he's made it to sergeant or whatever, but, he's a patrolman, she's a patrol woman, whatever. And you got to sit down at the kitchen table and go, hey, they're talking about firing people. Are you one of the last 200 hired over the last couple of years? Well, yeah, they haven't hired anybody new for a while. They've got the positions, but they haven't filled them. Hey, what are we going to do? I really like it here, but I don't know. Maybe Lincoln County's got some openings. Maybe Jeffco's got some openings. Maybe Chesterfield City Police has some. That sort of thing.
Well, and you also don't want to just wait to see what's going to happen, because then you're going to be in theory, if that were to happen, then you're one of theoretically 150, 200 people that are all out there looking for jobs all at once.
Yeah.
So, this could have secondary, tertiary effects that I'm sure Sam Page hasn't necessarily thought about and doesn't care about.
See, because Sam Page has not figured out yet that he's not relevant to the decision-making process.
Well, he's doing his damnedest to make himself.
I know he is. And this is the only thing he's got left are these scare tactics and press conferences and dire predictions and trying to present himself as the county statesman on his way out to leave a legacy. He's not relevant to the decision-making process.
He's not, but he's still having an impact on things.
Yeah.
And setting aside Lisa Clancy, I would like to know who the people are that are in the Sam Page fan club.
Lisa Clancy and
Sam Page.
And Sam Page and the people in the executive offices right there.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like anybody else, like I've yet to meet, and again, I don't want to be like, I live in a bubble, whatever. I've yet to meet anybody who's singing the praises of Sam Page. But if they're out there, I would like to meet them because then I would like to know to stay far away from them.
That's right.
Because they're dangerous.
Yeah, it's like guys who wear tap out T-shirts. Not to sit next to them on the flight because they're going to be annoying. Just saying. Thanks for the signal. Am I wrong?
I feel like there's a story behind that you're not.
I don't know. I just
that doesn't.
But back to this with Page. He's also loading the council with, here's a bunch of appointments that I want filled in these positions. They're going, no, we're not. We're not doing that.
You're going to appoint a bunch of people on your way out the door,
right? Because they all have to go through the council anyway. And this is not a Republican Democrat thing. Their council just going, no, we're ridding ourselves of you. And you know who else has not figured out the Sam Page is no longer relevant to the decision-making process? The media in town.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but I guess they've got to cover their bases. They have to go to his office, to him, to get the statements. They have.
Oh, I get that. But at the same time, I think, like, for instance, when he did his thing, gosh, I don't know, month and a half ago, trying to push for the city-county merger again.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be the leader. So many media started writing articles as though that's a serious conversation right now. It's not.
Right.
You know who seriously wants it? The city and Sam Page. Mm-hmm. Nobody in the county wants this. I mean, there's a few left-wingers out there who are like, yes, we're going to help. It's a bad idea. It got crushed when it was brought up. Now, the one they're talking about now is a little different plan. It's just the city joining back into the county, not the city taking over the county. But they're running with this, and they're not mentioning anywhere Sam Page, who's under criminal indictment and facing criminal charges.
Right.
Sam Page, who is currently under ethics investigation.
Right.
Sam Page, who is not running for re-election and will be out of office within months. They're not. They're still just leaning into the title because media also has an interest in the conflict.
Well, it seems. I mean, I know that they do seek out the council members as well, and they do get their statements and responses to things. But it does seem like there is this sort of blind spot there on the media's part, and I get it as a member of the media. I get it. You're kind of led around by the nose based on which prominent official is saying what. I mean, you have to report on that. You don't have to take it as gospel.
Exactly.
It's important to give it context. It's important to recognize that, yes, all of those things are true of Sam Page.
Context is the key thing.
It is
and they're very, very picky and choosy as to which context they put out there.
Yeah.
I mean, if they wanted to have the right context, they would look at this and, and again, Mark and I and Mike Archer, we're going to talk to Mike in the 8 o'clock hour and Dennis Hancock. And I don't know that I've seen a partisan elected board work together as well as I've seen the St. Louis County Commission. Or council.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen a partisan board get along that well.
In part, they have a common enemy.
Well, that's exactly what it is. And Mark and Dennis in particular have said, listen, we disagree with them on some stuff.
Sure.
And some big stuff. He said, but we've just got this environment where we vote, sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, and then we know we've got other things we have to take care of.
Well, it comes down to whether you want to actually govern or just play politics.
There's nothing more to add. That's it. Guess what Sam Page wants to do?
Play politics.
Very well said. Now, Susie told us about baby Gabriel on Wednesday. Well, now he's here officially after being born yesterday, and he's already the center of a legal fight involving parents who don't want him. Let's talk about the big picture in all this coming up here at 6:35.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards mid-90s, but feels like temperature could be up to 107 degrees in downtown St. Louis. We're going to be seeing a few chances of some isolated showers and storms, some of which could have some stronger winds. Then into Friday, a few isolated chances of showers and storms drying up by the second half of the day. 98 degrees Friday. This weekend, we continue our first alert weather day coverage, so lasting through Sunday, as it feels like temperatures all continue to climb back towards the triple-digit threshold. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here, looking for the ultimate escape? Well, welcome to Santino's, where luxury meets authenticity in a stunning 6,000 square foot destination. Browse hundreds of premium cigars in the walk-in humidor. Explore more than 700 bottles of whiskey. Whether it's their non-smoking wine room, gaming lounge with custom poker tables, it's Santino's just off Highway 55 at the Imperial exit. See them at Santino'sCigarCocktails.com. That's Santino'sCigarCocktails.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Number one for live and local conservative talk.
I just would like to get your comments on that. I'm so glad that you're on the radio, and I want to thank you for that.
I'll tell you why.
1019 and 94.1.
I love these people.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Okay, what I'm about to say is not about politics or partisanship. It's the whole bigger picture here. When we devalue life, everything else gets more complicated. And that's not politics that I'm talking about there, okay? This is the case of baby Gabriel, who's now born, as Jerome just said. Mm-hmm. He was officially born, I think, when you first brought this to my attention, because I hadn't heard about the case. He had not been born yet. Then he was born yesterday.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, we knew he was soon to be arriving. He was on the way. It was not like he was a long way off, but yes, he has now arrived.
So I want to get into the bigger picture here, because there's obviously just a massive human interest, story, awe factor kind of thing. And factor kind of thing. But I think it's more complicated than that. But also, don't forget, Susie and I are going to be at Mario's tomorrow. Jerome is keeping the show on the air here, but we're going to bring back goodies.
I was going to say we definitely got to bring something back.
We're bringing him some goodies back here. But I'm not kidding when I say everybody come on out.
Yeah,
say hi.
Come have a donut. Come have some coffee. Come have a breakfast sandwich.
Yeah, because one of the things, first of all, we love meeting the people who are part of the show here. Yes. And that's you all. You're part of the show. So come on out, say hi. Also, remember, Mario's is a supporter of this radio station. You're going to get a cup of coffee somewhere. You're going to get some eggs somewhere. If you want a donut, come on out and do it and say hi in the process. Stop by for a couple minutes or just sit and hang out while we do the show.
And I mean, their donuts are just amazing. Anyways. Even if they don't care about you, go out there and get a donut. It's worth it.
100%.
Also, we don't bite except for the donuts.
The donuts fear me.
Yes, they should. Yes. Rightly so.
That's right. Especially the one with the sprinkles on it, because I have the sweet tooth.
I've actually seen Mike Ferguson pick extra sprinkles up out of the box and top them off. They fell down.
Why would I waste them?
They fell down.
Why would I waste them? I have these.
He is a sprinkle hound.
I have the sweet tooth of an 8-year-old when donuts are around.
He does.
But no, it's good. It's going to be right there on Mugi Road, or just put into your maps Mario's Donut. Mm-hmm. It'll take you right there. We're doing the whole show from Mario's tomorrow.
Conveniently located next to where Susie lives.
Right. And there's plenty of space, plenty of room. I remember the first time I went into Mario's, I was surprised because you think a donut shop and you think of something like the size of our studio. Mm. No.
Good size.
This is big. Mm-hmm. A lot of room. It's going to be a lot of fun. So come on out. Details are at NewsTalkSTL.com. Okay. Baby Gabriel.
Yes.
I honestly am kind of embarrassed that I'd missed this story until you said it yesterday.
Yeah, it just started kind of percolating
Yeah.
up in the news the past couple of days. And just to give people a brief refresher, surrogate situation in California, surrogate mothers carrying baby at about 20 weeks or so is diagnosed with a serious heart condition that can be deadly. However, it also can be remedied with a kind of like an emergency surgery immediately after birth, and then two follow-up procedures. There's about a 70% success rate with those procedures. However, when it was discovered that this baby had this defect, the biological parents, the people that contracted with this surrogate mother to carry their child, and I don't know yet much about them. I don't know, other than they're in California. They asked her to have an abortion. They wanted her to abort the child.
Well, did they ask her? Didn't they just say, "Hey, we've got a contract where we have this authority"? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were saying, pursuant to our contract, you need to abort the child, and she did not want to do that. So she subsequently left California, went to Texas, sought legal recourse there, basically to protect the unborn baby and to seek to have the medical care that the baby would need, available to the child, because obviously, since she's not the bio parent,
right,
she doesn't have a lot of legal rights, even though she's carrying this child in her body right now.
Right.
So Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, his office went to court on behalf of baby Gabriel and sought this relief. They got that relief. There was a court order entered, I think, what's today, Thursday, on Tuesday, basically saying, this baby should be given this care when the baby is born, that sort of thing. Well, baby was born yesterday and has, I think, already undergone the first procedure. The flip side of that is that in the meantime, the bio parents sought and were given a restraining order that basically says that the birth mother, McKenna, cannot have any contact with the baby.
Now, she can't hold the baby, she can't see the baby, and Texas is honoring that.
Yeah, and I guess as much as that is heartbreaking too, I can understand that. Technically, legally, that child is not hers.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was careful when I was looking at this and writing like this stuff on her show sheet. She's not actually the mother. Surrogate and mother are not biologically are two different things. And that's why I say it gets really, really complicated because surrogacy, in theory, should have been a very pro-life thing. But it's turning out to be something different in many cases.
Yeah, it is. It is until the bio parents think otherwise. Yeah. But I mean, she, bless her for fighting for the life of this baby and making sure that he could arrive safely.
Because she's offered to adopt the baby.
She has. Yeah, she has.
So maybe I just don't know enough about the way that this stuff works. But I thought the surrogate mother was who the baby, gestates in and then is released into the world from.
Correct.
Right.
Which
released into the world.
I'm trying to pick it's more.
I know.
Oh, if you've had kids, that's kind of what happens.
But
I'm not. Yeah.
Does that? I guess from a legal perspective, it's different. But that should still be the mother. That's who.
No. From a biological perspective, it's different because the sperm and the egg came from the biological parents, and it was implanted in her. So she didn't have a role in creating. She's to make
the incubator.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, I'm starting to understand why the left has such a hard time defining a woman now. Because if the baby came out of the person, then that should be that's the mother. That's who that is going to imprint with, is not?
There's got to be a bond that's created when you carry this child, this human being, for all this time. But biologically, it did not. It was in her, but did not come from her.
Oh my Lord!
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that's what surrogacy is.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. So I have a family member that was born from surrogacy,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very well acquainted with this. Yes, biologically the child belongs to, and legally the child belongs to its biological parents. The birth mother, the gestating mother, the incubator, gives birth to the child, but does not have legal rights and is not biologically linked to the child.
Right. It's complicated.
Yeah. It is complicated.
Yeah.
And so I can understand basically, initially, let's just say there weren't all these complications. Surrogacy contract in place, birth mother gives birth. That person does not, they've already signed away their rights to the child, just like with an adoption situation that's arranged ahead of time. They've signed away their legal rights to the child. So there, on that, I get it. But she fought for the life of this child, and for that,
she one way or the other, she saved the life of this child.
Yeah, and kudos to Texas for being willing to step in, and to the doctors and who are treating this child, and hopefully giving him a chance at a healthy life.
And I'm not trying to derail too much from the stories, but so in these situations where you have a surrogate, is it dependent on the contract, or is it dependent on state law whether or not you have abortion rights as the DNA providers?
Wow, that's such a relevant question.
It is, and it's both. I mean, state law is going to govern whether the contract is valid or not. I mean, depending on where you signed it and what provisions it has. And each state obviously has somewhat different laws when it comes to abortion, that sort of thing. I don't think yet it's been put to the test legally, at least not all the way up, that you can force somebody else to have an abortion. Right. I mean, that's the thing. And that's what we're seeing running into with these two recent surrogacy cases, is the people that have the right, theoretically have the rights to the child, are saying, oh, we don't want the child. We want you to terminate the child. And the person carrying the child is like, no, I'm not going to do that. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to see this battle throughout the courts, and it brings in all of these fraught issues that have to do with whose rights are involved here. My body, my choice kind of goes out the window when we're talking about a surrogacy situation, but it's their body. I mean, yeah, you can't make that argument logically. That's not going to stop people from doing it, but
well, and what's happened with the surrogacy thing? Like I said, in theory and concept, this could have and should have, and at one point was a very, very pro-life thing.
Yes, very much so.
And what we're starting to see and what we are seeing are examples of, okay, it's really just contract law by people who are looking for designer babies.
That's unfortunately
what this has become in some cases. I mean, in many other cases, it's like, physically her body can't handle it. So we found somebody who can, and and I would suspect most of the time it's what your family had. They want a child, they want a baby, they want to bring a life, and this is the way they can do it. Here's the vehicle, the venue to do it. And in this case, what we're also seeing is, well, it's not perfect, or it's going to be difficult. Just get rid of this one. We'll try again somewhere else.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Yeah.
That attitude, that approach has been with us for a long time from people that are pro-abortion.
Yeah.
They could be carrying their own child. Not leave surrogacy out of it. There are plenty of people who subscribe to the notion that if you get so far along in your pregnancy and decide that you do not want this child because they're going to have a birth defect, or might have some sort of chromosomal issue, that sort of thing, it's perfectly fine to terminate it. There are people that are firmly in that camp. Now you introduce to that equation a third person who's involved intimately in the situation because they're actually carrying that child. And it's like, okay, well, what rights does that person have over the child that they're carrying while it's still in their body? It's a very complicated situation. We're going to see patchwork litigation all over the place.
Because you got 2 states involved.
Yeah, well, we're going to have 50 states involved.
Yeah.
And we're going to see all kinds of litigation coming out of this. I can tell you that right now.
I'll end where I started, is that when we devalue life, which in this case, this approach to surrogacy is exactly what we're seeing. When we devalue life, things get incredibly complicated.
Yes, they do.
And the more complicated it gets, the more arguments that people are going to have to find ways to continue to devalue life or to value life more. And that's why I keep arguing. Remember, being pro-life is not just about politics and who you voted for. It's all of this.
It all comes together. All right, well, we want you to join News Talk STL for the annual Leadership for America dinner 2026. It's September 2020. Sorry, I got to start that over. The Leadership for America dinner 2026. It's September 25th in the St. Charles Convention Center Grand Ballroom. It's going to feature Nick Shirley as the keynote speaker. Nick is the independent journalist who exposed the alleged fraud in Minneapolis and the Leering centers and such. Plus, there's going to be other speakers. Those are going to be announced soon. Your ticket price includes dinner and the program and must be purchased in advance. So for tickets and more information, simply go to newstalkstl.com/Nick Shirley.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself unless you suck.
On News Talk STL.
Man, summer's almost over. That doesn't mean you still can't have some great football tailgating sort of parties on your porch, your deck. Wait a minute, you don't have a deck. You need a deck. That's why you need to talk to my friends at STL FenceWorks, Mike Ferguson here, STLFenceWorks.com. That's where you look. Or if it's just a matter of planning for next year when it comes to fencing around your home to create that home that becomes something really, really special and safer, or if it becomes something where you want to improve the quality of your life and your family time and your time with your friends and have those parties, have that barbecue. Fall is about to be here, so you know what? Temperatures are going to be gorgeous for cooking out and eating outside, and STL FenceWorks not only can do it right, but they can do it with materials that, first of all, are American-made, so you avoid the extra cost of tariffs and things like that, but it's also guaranteed. Listen, they don't go around and just find anybody on the street and say, hey, help us build a deck here. They have professional crews because they've been in St. Louis for over 50 years. This is a family-run business, and their reputation is at stake. And you know what? I know these guys. They want to do it right because that's how they do business. Don't believe me? Go check out the reviews. Yelp, Better Business Bureau, you name it. American-made products, specially treated materials that mean you will not have to get out there and resand and retreat and restain every year or two. No, these are long-lasting with guaranteed work. STLFenceWorks.com. Tell them Mike told you about them on the radio.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere. JC's Wayback Machine.
He's played the president's chief of staff, and a couple of his sons have been in lots of movies and TV shows. Martin Sheen is this week's A-List Interview of the Week. Plus, you'll hear Tom Petty's demo for Into the Great Wide Open and some acoustic stuff from Jeff Lynne. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9 on NewsTalk STL.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, your financial friend with Serenity Wealth Management. You know, money has a way of funding our lifestyle, funding our fun, but you know what? We want to make sure it goes to causes we care about. We want those causes to be right here in our home state of Missouri. So joining me in the studio this week for the Serenity Wealth Now show, we have got Dave Wellborn of the Mo Better Foundation right here in the state of Missouri. So tune in, the Serenity Wealth Now show right here on NewsTalk STL, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. We'll see you there.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on NewsTalk STL.
Took me back to college on this one.
Mighty Boss
Tones. Mighty Boss Tones. Yeah, there it is. All right, smoke is pretty much cleared out, and the all clear is issued on the east side. Got an update to that situation there. I mean, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of homes and businesses affected. Yeah. And I didn't even think about this. Part of the East St. Louis School District, nobody could go to school.
Oh.
Or not go to school, but they couldn't, because there's stuff going on pre-school year.
Right.
They're getting ready to start. And so there were activities.
Many kids have already gone back to school. I don't know what.
Oh, have they already started?
Oh, yeah. This is back to school week.
Oh, well.
It's been all over my Facebook feed.
Not in East St. Louis yesterday.
Okay.
That's for sure. Also, federal officials targeting fake marriages.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're legal, real marriages, but they're sham marriages.
Okay.
Yeah, well, basic details now. I want to get into this in a little bit here. This is interesting here. And dare I say it, I don't want to jinx anything, but are the Cardinals on kind of a roll right now?
I don't know.
All right, 6:51. Let's do a news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by The Nutrition Stop.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, that shelter-in-place order affecting parts of the Metro East is now lifted. The chemical fire at the Container Port Group facility in Sauget involved a chemical that's abbreviated TCCA. You say, Mike, okay, what's the actual name of the chemical? I'm not going to try to say it on the radio. There's a lot of vowels.
Okay.
A lot of vowels. But it is used for things like bleaching, killing bacteria, killing algae in swimming pools, and the fire was contained within hours. And here's the thing. This chemical, from what I'm reading in these articles, a little bit of water that it works into, swimming pool, household situations, it works as it's supposed to. A lot of water, like a fire hose, not so much. That's so much. And, of course, it was on fire. And then you had this massive plume of smoke with these things that are irritants. I mean, think about if you're in the swimming pool and there's too much chlorine and bleach in there. Now imagine that in the air everywhere, which is why the shelter-in-place order was issued. So, like I said, the fire contained within hours, and what's left of the smoke from that fire, because there's still some smoke that's happening. There's not that giant plume that we saw yesterday on the news, but that is expected to completely dissipate soon, and it's considered safe now. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are some people around Sauget and Cahokia Heights and East St. Louis probably like, man, why are my eyes red? Okay, that's why.
That's why.
So it's dissipating, and the environmental, folks, as far as like the people who do the real stuff, they're saying that, this is going to dissipate. It was not enough to do any permanent damage anywhere. It'll float out into the atmosphere and cosmos. It'll be fine. But it could be a little irritating for the next day or so. The good news is no injuries are reported on that.
Good.
Yeah, so nobody got hurt, but not a good fire. And that particular plant, there was a search done and questions. Apparently there's no record of like violations or sloppiness or anything. It just something happened. They'll figure out what the fire was, what started it.
Yeah.
But there's no history of this company having problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they can get to the bottom of what caused it so they can prevent it going forward.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. I want to talk about this in more depth here in a little bit. The Justice Department announced on Wednesday it's charging almost a dozen people, accusing them of organizing over 1,000 sham marriages. 1,000. Yeah. Mostly to help Chinese nationals gain U.S. citizenship or at least residency. Attorney General Todd Blanche, notice it didn't say acting, Attorney General Todd Blanche, pledges to enforce these policies and in addition to other border security and immigration policies.
Gaining American citizenship and legal status to reside in this great nation is a sacred privilege, and we will ensure it is always done in accordance with the law protecting our communities and national security.
Okay, so here's what they're doing. They are moving to limit the documents needed to enter the U.S., but the State Department said earlier this week it's revoking over 175,000 visas. The administration previously faced some backlash for screening people's social media accounts to justify stripping them of their visas, but now what we're finding here is that as part of this whole ruse, the companies involved in this were using social media to say, okay, post these pictures and things so it looks like this is a real sham marriage.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody who's hoping to put one over on the government at this point who's not doing that is very naive and behind the times.
Now, here's what I want to get into, though. Do you want government stepping in and judging, well, you guys are actually in love. This is actually a real marriage. Yeah, because it's not as it's not as easy as it sounds.
It's not as easy as it sounds by the people involved.
Yeah. Yep. All right. You probably heard about this. Governor Kathy Hochul from New York and also State Attorney General Letitia James, Mayor Zoran Mamdani announcing over $7 million in taxpayer funding for the legal defense of over 100,400 migrant children who are possibly subject to removal by federal immigration enforcement. And they're calling this an operation to combat what they're calling ICE overreach. And this is what they're making a big deal out of. So Border Czar Tom Homan was on Hannity last night, and he says, you know what? You know who's putting kids at risk? Yeah, people like this.
Since I've been border czar, I wrote these numbers down. Since I've been border czar, New York State has denied 14,000 detainers, over 14,000 detainers. Who are they? 6,800 illegal aliens with assault convictions, 800 convictions for child crimes. Don't tell me you're trying to protect children.
Okay, governor says that state law enforcement agencies have been given 13 days to end agreements with ICE, or they're going to face sanctions from the state government in New York.
You know what? Here's the bottom line. We're talking about minors. You're talking about children.
Right.
They are victims here.
Yeah.
And they do need someone looking out for them. The thing is, it wouldn't be in a situation where you have to be spending all this taxpayer dollars on guardians and systems and organizations to defend them if you weren't doing all these other things to mess up the process.
Right. Caroline Leavitt leaving the Trump administration.
I know.
Yeah, the president made that announcement on social media, followed shortly by a statement from Leavitt on her social media account confirming the change. The 28-year-old press secretary stepping down at the end of the month to focus on family. Now that she and her 60-year-old husband, Nicholas Riccio, is it Riccio? Riccio?
I think it's Riccio.
I think Riccio, they have a new baby, so they now have two children.
Actually.
So,
two young children.
Pretty common. You get in your late 20s, you have a couple kids, you're like, I think I want to do this.
Yeah, I think I might need to spend some time with them.
I suspect there's probably a book or there's probably, some pundit and commentary gigs. I don't think she's going to go without a job for too long. Not that they need it. He's a pretty successful real estate redeveloper, basically, is what he is. Cardinals actually won the game and won the series against the Phillies last night. Final score 7-1 at Busch Stadium.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Statins lower cholesterol, but do you know how they actually work inside your body? And what if there were natural approaches that work through completely different biological pathways? This week, we're diving into cholesterol science you probably never learned. Don't miss it.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney. Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. I love Capriotti's, and you will too. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations on Manchester, McKnight, and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Calling all Patriots. Join the St. Louis County Republicans for the annual Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner, Saturday, September 19th at River City Casino. Our keynote speaker, Newsmax personality, Rob Carson. Enjoy a full night of fun and information alongside state and local officials and candidates. It's an evening you won't want to miss. Dinner and program, just $75. For tickets, email reneeartman@hotmail.com or call 314-398-6667.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. So much rain in such a short period of time, unleashing devastating flash flooding across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, with evacuations, high water rescues, and some fatalities. Jonathan Whittam with the Indiana Department of Homeland Security says that a young child was killed.
Sadly, the 4-year-old died in Jennings County. That was a tree that fell on their home. And we have reports of various levels of injuries across the state. And again, 2 other fatalities that may be weather-related. We're working on confirming those.
Parts of Ohio are also flooded. Forecasters not ruling out the possibility of more rain. Tropical storm Hernan has formed out in the Pacific, but posing no threat to land. It is a desperate situation in Colombia as the clock keeps on ticking.
The rescue operation following a powerful earthquake that struck Colombia on Monday is growing more desperate by the day. Search teams are pushing up against a key time threshold to locate survivors before it's too late. In Pereira on Wednesday, a body was recovered from the rubble of a collapsed building. Colombia's new president, Abelardo de la Espriella, is under pressure to make sure his government responds to the vulnerable communities most affected by the quake and more than 100 aftershocks. Aid agencies consider the first 48 to 72 hours crucial. I'm Karen Shamas.
An Army Apache attack helicopter has crashed near Fort Hood, Texas. Both crew members on board were killed. The U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, condemning a siege by Israeli settlers on the home of a Palestinian-American family in the West Bank. He calls it a horrific act of terror. Israel is sending in more troops to the area. Wall Street, the Dow futures are up 152 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 24 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards mid-90s, but feels like temperature could be up to 107 degrees in downtown St. Louis. We're going to be seeing a few chances of some isolated showers and storms, some of which could have some stronger winds. Then into Friday, a few isolated chances of showers and storms drying up by the second half of the day. 98 degrees Friday. This weekend, we continue our first alert weather day coverage, so lasting through Sunday, as it feels like temperatures all continue to climb back towards the triple-digit threshold. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA, so we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Just mentioned this in the news dump. Caroline Leavitt leaving the Trump administration. And it was funny. The first I saw this was one of the news alerts that pop up on my phone. And it was like, Caroline Leavitt out at the White House. That's all it said.
Oh, which makes it sound like she got thrown out on a rear.
Makes it sound like she was drop kicked out, like somebody else.
That is not what happened.
It's not like that. So we'll get to that in a second here. Also, somebody was actually asking about this on social media here a little bit ago. The Southern Poverty Law Center former CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's been a little change in her legal status.
Yes.
So we'll get into that too. 7:06. So, wow, your team is like writing about a lot of different things at redstate.com these days.
As well we do.
So much going on. Redstate.com. So, Susie, what's jumping out at you that we should check out first today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Here's what's jumping out at me. We should rename the WNBA the DNBA.
Okay.
Dummy. National Basketball Association. Because the feckless WNBA bosses met to define woman, part of their name.
Yeah.
And come up with exactly nothing.
Right.
That's Bob Hoag's article.
They know that they're had right now, just in the public eye.
Yeah. So, can't come up with any solutions to this terribly difficult problem about what you do about the Women's Basketball League, about whether or not it should involve women.
Is it that difficult, though?
No, they're making it that way. So I propose renaming that. Anyway, that article from Bob is up at the top of the page. You want to check that out. This is from one of our brand new writers. This guy just joined us. It's kind of got it's going to turn your head, the headline. But I want you to check it out. It's from Ben Sellers. MAGA's terms of surrender for woke one supplicants. So
okay, there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on there. Basically, it's a response to people like AOC and Sarah McBride that are like, things have gotten out of hand. We all need to kind of come together. Instead of alienating and cutting off people that are on the right and think wrongly, you need to have those conversations. And we want to kind of have this like coming together kind of thing. And he kind of basically writes a letter saying, okay, well, here's our terms of surrender. So it's kind of a little tongue-in-cheek, kind of darkly humorous. It's worth checking out. I definitely recommend it. And then last but not least, I couldn't help but chuckle over this. Terry Christoph has this one. Whoops. Peggy Flanagan's hilarious fundraising email accidentally steamrolls Elizabeth Warren. Peggy Flanagan, of course, is the current lieutenant governor in Minnesota, and she is now the nominee for the Democrats for the top position there. And her first fundraising email that she sent out said, this will be the first time, she's running for senator. Let me back that up. This would be the first Native American senator in office, which I didn't realize she was Native American, but apparently she is.
No, she actually legitimately.
Yeah, and I just didn't know that about her. But she's been supported in the past by Elizabeth Warren, by the way. But yeah, so that happened, and Terry wrote it up.
I haven't even read the article. I'm getting a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, because I want to get to this situation with the SBLC former CEO. Caroline Leavitt out, who is, well, she's out because she just had a baby.
Right.
And she's decided that she's going to be a full-time mom.
She's learning, as many people have, that being a mother of two young children is a very demanding role, and it's very hard to juggle that and a full-time, high-pressure, high-power position and do both well. And if something's got to give and you have the ability to let that be the job for now so that you can help raise your children, I completely applaud this move.
If those are the choices you've got, then she's making the right decision.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure she and her husband are not going to have any problem covering the mortgage payment.
Right, no, that's a great thing. I mean, that's the bottom line. She has that option, and she is choosing to spend the time with her children, and I don't fault her for that one bit.
Their first baby was born in 2024. Then they got married in 25, and now she's had the baby in 26. And so 2 kids, like, under the age of 3.
Yes.
If the parents can be there full time, they need to be there.
Absolutely.
So congratulations. I think that you've got something on your resume that most 28-year-olds aren't going to have. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, my only drawback of any of this is that she's so good at her job. I mean, she really has been good in that role. She took to it as young as she is. She did, I think, a very good job for this administration. So it's hard for me to imagine who's going to replace her. I know that we've already seen the Marco Rubio memes.
Which was disturbing but also funny.
Exactly.
Marco Rubio is a drag queen, basically. Yeah. But yeah, there's been a bunch of names, and I saw a bunch of the names are listed. And I'm like, I don't know who those people are.
Yeah, I've not seen. I mean, I've seen some suggestions, but yeah, I don't know. So while she was out on maternity leave, they had kind of a rolling roster with the cabinet members kind of individually coming in.
And the
vice president, Marco Rubio, Scott Bessent, several different cabinet members came in and filled that role, and all did kind of a fine job. I think that was kind of a nice to see that mix-up sort of situation. But who's going to step into her shoes? I do not know.
Well, and one of the things that you have to acknowledge with Caroline Leavitt is that she was fiercely loyal to Donald
Very
Trump.
much so.
Fiercely.
Which is why
So-
I say she was very good at her job, because that's kind of what the role of that position is.
Yeah, it's to sell the administration's goals and actions, and that's what you do.
Karine Jean-Pierre, Caroline Leavitt. Who was better at their job?
Well, you know that Karine Jean-Pierre, KJP, she was, who's the former, who'd she take over for from the Biden administration?
Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki, yeah. She was her partner in truth, is what she declared when she got the job there. Yeah, so... Yeah, so I
They were the bits, all right.
So I suspect that like I said, there's going to be some punditry or commentary role that she'll end up doing and that sort of thing.
I'm sure we've not seen the last of Caroline Leavitt.
Well,
She's
no,
just-
not at 28.
Yeah.
No, by any stretch. Yeah. Okay, so somebody was asking about this on the social media. Former Southern Poverty Law Center CEO Heidi Bayuk. This is the one where there was the scandal that was discovered that the SPLC was funneling money to the white supremacist groups.
Right, to the very hate groups that they're supposedly being,
Right.
in charge of rooting out.
Yeah, so the former CEO here, she was arrested. Now, I think technically arrested. I think she surrendered and they did the arrest and all that kind of stuff. They didn't go out and bring
No,
the
they didn't
SWAT
have to-
team or anything
no,
like
but
that.
that's an arrest.
But she's charged with paying a guy to love her. Okay,
Well,
not really.
That
but
may not.
kind of.
Prostitution is not one of the charges at this point.
Okay, and then I'm going to get my snarkiness out of the way right up front. All of these pictures, whether it's like Town Hall or AP or any of those, they've obviously got a picture of her there because she's now facing criminal charges. And I'm looking at this going, you know what? Sometimes there are some people that may just have to pay for affection. Maybe she's one of them. So I want... She's not going to be the first one who draws attention. She's not going to turn heads. Just saying. Not that makes a difference in the criminal case.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
But it looks like among the alleged white supremacist leaders in these organizations is one that she was having a relationship with.
Right.
Her, and I'm meaning this in the term that we tend to use it, her lover.
Yes. Yes, she had an intimate relationship with one of the leaders of these hate groups, organizations, and over the course of, and I don't know if she was the CEO or the CFO. She was in leadership at SPLC.
Yeah, the reporting says former CEO.
Well, but I've also seen a reporter that said CFO. Bottom line is she had control of some of the money decisions, and she was, when the original indictment of the SPLC came out, there were employee 1, employee 2. They weren't identified, but many thought employee 2 probably was her based on the description of the actions this person engaged in. Now it's become clear that she is, in fact, employee number 2, and she is now named as an individual defendant in this criminal prosecution, so she has had to surrender, that sort of thing.
Right.
And yes, she stands accused of funneling something north of $1 million, maybe like $1.2 million over the course of time, to this individual and his organization that she was supposedly trying to help combat.
Right. And you may say, well, if that's how they want to spend their money, who cares? Well, it's about fraud and wire fraud.
Yes.
That's the charges aren't that they gave money to the KKK. You're allowed to do that.
They set up fake bank accounts to do it.
Yeah. Wire fraud here on this, and then the soap opera, the trailer park soap opera that's kind of attached to it is the sideshow. I mean, it's eyebrow raising and kind of funny. But we're talking about serious accusations of serious financial crimes.
They are definitely serious, and we're going to continue to follow that case for sure.
Yep.
You know what we want you to do?
What do you want us to do?
We want you to come have a donut or a breakfast sandwich or coffee, something. Just
Omelet?
come, omelet, whatever. They've got a pretty broad menu there at Mario's, and we are going to be there tomorrow morning from 6 to 9 doing the morning show. And
I'll be there at 5:30.
Yes, but I think their doors open at 6.
Yeah.
We want you to come join us, though, and watch us do the show. Come say hi. Enjoy great food, great company at Mario's Donuts there on Mugi Road in St. Charles.
I've had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now before you blow us all away.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
Kind of cracks me up when I text back and forth with Jason, one of the owners of Whistle Pig Outdoors in Troy, because when you go do business with somebody, you want to work with somebody who really knows what they're talking about and they're passionate about this sort of thing. You want to buy some sports equipment, talk to an athlete who's been there, done that, tested the equipment, knows what's good and what's not. You want to buy a car, you want to go get your car repaired. You go to somebody who's passionate about cars and really wants the highest quality. Listen, that's Jason and Cole, his son, from Whistle Pig. Mike Ferguson here for WhistlePigOutdoors.com or Whistle Pig Outdoors right there on Main Street in Troy. They are passionate about hunting and outdoors and camping and everything. And that's why Jason and I will text. He'll say, hey, this is happening. He'll tell me about the ducks that are hatching this season in this area, and this is what it means to duck. He understands that stuff on such a granular level. So even if you've got your bow, even if you've got your ammo for your firearms hunting, even if you've got your blind and you think your decoys are fine, listen, go check him out because you're going to get good guidance on what's happening this upcoming hunting seasons. And he gets it because they live the lifestyle too. And like I said, whether it's the waders, the blinds, whether it's your turtle box speakers that you need, whether it's their coolers, or whether it's the bow or the tech that's needed to do it, they've got you covered. WhistlePigOutdoors.com. Check them out right now, or go visit them in person and say, all right, Mike said you're the experts. Here's my questions. They'll follow through. They'll live up to it.
Columbo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local, weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators. They're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL, JC's Sunday Showgram.
We go back to 1991 and the busload of listeners we took to the Field of Dreams. I'll tell you about the truly astonishing play my uncle was part of this week in 1959 at Wrigley Field. We'll talk to a reporter friend of mine in Milwaukee who covered the Stevie Ray Vaughan crash, and we open the Elvis file. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
This is Tony Kinnett from the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, sham marriages and shocking gloves. Today's angles to the illegal immigration debate and discuss. There's two things going on here. The DOJ announced, I guess this was yesterday. Afternoon, they are charging 11 suspects accused of arranging over 1,000 sham marriages in order to help Chinese immigrants get residency and or full-on citizenship. And I played a soundbite from Todd Blanche in the news dump, and I'll put it again here in about half an hour as well. But we're talking about over 10 years, 10, 11 years, something like that. And I read the press release from the Department of Justice on this. And then I read a couple articles on it where they interviewed other people. It sounds like this was a very wide-ranging and complicated, complete ruse. And what makes it a little bit interesting, though, is the marriages themselves were legal. They got marriage licenses. They had the marriage things. They signed the papers.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're saying is, but these were ruses. These were shams, using marriage just to get people who would otherwise not get citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't have mixed feelings on it, because if you're doing the sham thing, I don't want any part of this to be abused to get through this. But I'm a little worried, Susie, that the reaction to this is going to be, all right, is government approving your marriage if you're marrying somebody, who's not here in the U.S., and so that's the thing where we need to make sure that we take a very measured approach, because this looks like it was fraud using a legal tactic to cover up and culminate fraud.
Right. I mean, what you had here is people that were profiting off of this. They
Right.
were selling this service.
Yeah.
Like to the tune of $100,000 a pop.
Oh, yeah.
In order to arrange this, not just people. Obviously, there are people that even get involved in arranged marriages. I mean, that's still a thing. Or that marry someone from a foreign country that they don't know very well. We hear about that a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely happens. But that's those individuals making that decision to do that. This is you're talking about third parties getting involved, getting lots of money out of the deal, paying someone to do this.
Yeah.
So there is that added element to it. But you're right to ask the question, because if we're at the point, and let me back up one more step here, though. For the immigration process, we're already doing that. When people are seeking a green card based on their marriage to an American citizen, they are already scrutinized as to whether it's legitimate marriage, whether that's been arranged by a third party or they just happen to meet and get involved and get married.
Yeah.
So to a certain extent, we are already engaging in that. But then the flip side of that is, okay, well, how else do you assess whether someone is abusing this opportunity, this privilege, in a fraudulent fashion?
Right. Yeah, or for the wrong reasons even. I mean,
Yeah.
I told a story to Jerome a couple hours ago. I said, I remember when I was in my early 20s, one of my friends was a missionary to Russia. He's back in the U.S. now. Met his wife there. A beautiful young lady, ballerina, very smart, and they're still married 25 plus years later.
Right.
Almost 30 years now, I think, at this point. And but I remember him asking, he says, "Hey, she's got a sister. You should meet her. We really want to get her over here. Would you be interested?"
Mm-hmm.
But that's what he led with. Now, he
Right.
wasn't part of a fraud network.
No,
But it
no.
was like, she misses her sister. It's dangerous in Russia. We want to get her here. You're single at the time. And I'm like, that's what you're leading with? You want me to be the green? I mean, I was really offended by that. I mean, we're
Right.
still friends, don't get me wrong. But I'm like, dude, no,
Yeah.
stop. And he showed me a picture. I'm like, well, maybe. But I'm like, no.
If you had just led with that and said she's got a cute sister, you want to meet her,
Right,
that might
yeah,
be different.
Well, my life might have been easier than it turned out. But anyway,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, that's, and I was like, but that was the lead thing. But we need to get her here, but she has to find a husband. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
But I mean, people have been aware of the kind of the phony green card marriages for. I mean, there's movies about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So I mean, that part of it is already it's being scrutinized by immigration officials because they're trying to determine that people, they're trying to make sure that people aren't scamming the system. This adds that added fraud, financial element to it, which does make it criminal. Not just you're not going to get the card, but you're actually committing violations of our law.
yeah, and not to oversimplify it, but it was like recruiting Americans, men and women.
Yes.
Hey, marry a Chinese person and make money.
Right. We'll give you $30,000 to
Right.
marry this person.
Right.
Right.
And then, however long the marriage lasts, well, that remains to be seen. But, that's so it was just basically, we've heard of anchor babies. This will be an anchor spouse.
Anchor spouses. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, they are cracking down on it. We are seeing all manner of crackdown on people's efforts to scam our immigration system.
Yeah, and the thing is that this is going to, I think, especially with a lot of conservatives, get people's kind of dander up, because you're talking about, in this case, a bunch of Chinese. It's not just Chinese. It's from
No.
anywhere in the world. Now, let's also distinguish that between, there are a lot of people, mostly men, who are Americans, who are looking for wives around the world and don't want American wives for whatever reason. There's
plenty of reasons.
There's a lot. Yeah, I didn't want to go there, but yes,
I know.
there are. But
I see them listed frequently.
Yeah, but there are. That's a different thing because they're going around the world to find them, and there are people call them mail order brides and all that kind of stuff. But they're actually looking for spouses. In this case, it was the goal is to get past the immigration system.
Correct. And in this particular instance, round of arrests, it did all involve Chinese nationals. But yes, you're right. It isn't just China that is doing this, but this particular sting operation, if you will, or the arrests that were announced yesterday, indictments that were announced yesterday, all involved Chinese nationals.
Yeah, because when the accusations and the charges are like, we're going to coach you how to take pictures showing fake relationships. Make sure you take pictures at, restaurants, for instance, or our favorite spot. Coaching them on how to put stuff either on social media or create a paper trail for something that wasn't real.
Which, again, if you're trying to pull one over on the government to begin with, would you not already think of doing that?
Well,
and again, they've made movies about it.
Oh,
they made movies 20 years ago
it's
about it.
It's literally called Green Card.
Green Card is the name of the movie. Yeah. And so I'm like, obviously, if you're trying to convince others, whether it's a Hallmark movie and you're just trying to convince your family this is really your boyfriend and it's not, but it's going to end up being your boyfriend because you fall in love with him anyway. Whatever it is, I mean, people that are trying to perpetrate this to persuade others that they're involved in this relationship should know, you're going to have proof of the fact that you guys actually like each other and hang out.
Right. And of course, then I'll go back to, okay, I really don't want, we got to be careful to where the government's like, I don't think you guys are actually in love. I don't.
And that opens up the question of whether or not the government should actually be involved in sanctioning and licensing marriages in the first place.
Yes!
Which is one of my big pet peeves. But
I thought I was the only one. Let's do that conversation because I'm with you on that. 100%.
I've been making this argument for 20 plus years.
Yeah. Okay.
Why should you need a government from or a license from the government to
be married,
partner up with somebody?
Yeah. No. And why the church handed that over to the government? Because the church didn't want to be in the position to. Many churches were still just as racist as everybody else in the pre-Jim Crow era. And they're like, well, if the government says you got to get a license, it's not us saying we can't marry you, interracial marriage. That was a big part of the church because for a long time, the church was, even up through the late 1800s, the church was like, this is our domain, government. No.
That is interesting. I'd like to dig into the history of that because in my ancestry research, I'm finding marriage bonds and stuff like that going back to the early 1800s.
Yeah.
So, but those aren't from churches. Those are actually from that government entity.
Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd Lincoln didn't get a license. They got married and the clergyman wrote it in the Bible.
I'm sure not everybody did, but I know governments were issuing marriage bonds back in the early 1800s. But that's an interesting thing. Again, probably a topic for another day.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay.
But, fair question.
Yes. Okay. And also, real quick, did you see this thing where ICE is now buying tens of thousands of new tactical weapons? Gloves. These gloves deliver small voltage shocks. I'm not kidding. Apparently, there are police departments that use these, and they're like, they work. And then so so when you get to a protester, get into a shoving match, it's going to hurt a little more, even if they don't throw a haymaker.
I love this.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I do.
They've equipped it with the shock that's been described as the pain level of like a bee sting.
Okay. So and obviously on the the person wearing them is not feeling that. It's just
it's the other person there that does that.
So it's like a little worse than a shock, like when you
right, but not like a taser.
But not like a taser.
Yeah, it's going to get your attention, is what they're saying.
Wow.
Where do I get some?
Be dangerous.
In other news, 120,000 flock cameras are around the country and counting. Some of those are getting knocked down by opponents of the surveillance state. Is that a valid way to push back? Yes. We'll dig into that at 7:35.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards mid-90s, but feels like temperature could be up to 107 degrees in downtown St. Louis. We're going to be seeing a few chances of some isolated showers and storms, some of which could have some stronger winds. Then into Friday, a few isolated chances of showers and storms drying up by the second half of the day. 98 degrees Friday. This weekend, we continue our first alert weather day coverage, though, lasting through Sunday as it feels like temperatures all continue to climb back towards the triple-digit threshold. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
This is Larry Connors, and this is a fact. Nobody beats John Beal on roof repairs or a whole new roof. Sure, some might offer you a cheaper price, but you're not getting the same quality material and work John Beal provides. I like John Beal's approach. If you want a cheap way out, just understand you'll be doing it all over again. Sound like a smart idea? As I said, nobody beats John Beal Roofing. Call my friend John, 1-800-JOHN-BEAL, 1-800-JOHN-BEAL.
Larry Connors Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connors Commentary on News Talk STL.
Some of the reporters on board Air Force One back in July are crying, we could have died if Air Force One had been shot down. Yep, that's almost a certainty. Of course, these are some of the same White House press corps members never concerned about death threats against Trump. In July, Trump had boarded Air Force One in Turkey, but then went out another door, secretly driven to a military plane. That plane was then escorted by fighter jets all the way to England, just in case terrorists realized where Trump was. Secretary of State Rubio was left on Air Force One. Rubio is fourth in line to succeed Trump. Treasury Secretary Bessent also on board. Supposedly they knew that Trump was not on board. Trump says the Secret Service took the precautions because of a credible threat the Air Force One could be targeted by a missile. Thank goodness it did not happen. But for those frightened reporters, maybe you should refuse to be a White House reporter going forward. Go cover new babies at the zoo or something. Otherwise, shut up, take your seat, buckle up, and enjoy your presidential snacks.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Okay, you've probably been told these things at some point in your life, right? There's a right way and a wrong way to do most things.
Yes.
Right? How about this one? 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Yep.
Does that apply to the flock camera situation?
Yes. I don't know why I would have a special carve out.
Okay, so
Jerome might feel differently.
So he wouldn't be the only one. Because we're seeing cases around the country where people are taking matters in their own hands, calling it vigilantism, call it whatever you want, and they see the flock cameras. They say they're violating my rights. This is government gone too far. Nobody's doing anything about it, and they're knocking them down or they're cutting them down, they're covering them in paint or hitting them, whatever they're doing with them. And the Pacific Legal Foundation says, you know what, there is a case against these things, but you're better off going into the court to deal with them as opposed to going to, vandalism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the article that was sent to me from the Pacific Legal Foundation, a can of spray paint is not an argument. It was written by Amy Peikoff, who joins us right now. And Amy, thanks for being on the program here. And so a lot of pushback against these things. This is one of the interesting things about the flock cameras themselves, where it's not really necessarily a Republican or Democrat or left or right divide. People are divided on this from more of a civil liberties and law enforcement perspective. A lot of people I agree with on law enforcement issues. On most everything else, I may not necessarily agree with on this, but we're talking about the questions of how much of a surveillance state is the government going to run. We live in a surveillance state right now. Don't believe me? Look at what your phone does. Don't believe me? We're self-surveilling on social media. We live in a surveillance state now. So what is it about the flock cameras that you think could possibly be, whether it's Fourth Amendment or some other legal avenue to fight back against them?
Mike, thanks for having me on. And yes, it is the Fourth Amendment, but the way that I apply the Fourth Amendment is currently in a minority, but I have indication that maybe it's going to be a more prominent approach to the Fourth Amendment. We saw a geofence warrant ruling come down the end of this last term of the Supreme Court in Chattree, and there is a concurrence by Justice Gorsuch that applies time-tested property principles to the issue. And so in the article, that you say the spray paint is not an argument, I sketch out the beginning of the application of time-tested property principles to this issue. The government makes you put a license plate on your car. And in the law of property, we call that a servitude. It's sort of like an easement that the property, the government has on your car. But it has it for a specific purpose, which is just to put this identifier on your car so that on the occasion that there's a reason for them to need to know what car it is, they can. But what has the Flock network done to this license plate? It has turned it into a 24/7, 365 tracking device. And that goes beyond the terms of the easement. And, in the, sort of time-tested property principles, we call that a trespass. We say that the government is actually committing a search of your car without any particularized suspicion if it's going to take that record that Flock creates and retain it. So what I propose is that we just don't retain it, that we have the Flock cameras do what any policeman sitting on the corner of a street could do, which is, he could look and see, oh, your car speeded. And so you jot down the 1 and you use the information only for something about which they have particularized suspicion. Otherwise, the record is purged. And that's been longstanding police practice forever. And I think that's how Flock should be properly used.
Good morning, Amy. This is Susie Moore. Fourth Amendment litigation was really a big deal, particularly it seemed like in the 60s and 70s before the Supreme Court. And now, to me, it seems like we're going to be facing a whole host of new Fourth Amendment challenges that have to do with our developing technology. And I'm grateful that Neil Gorsuch is sitting on the Supreme Court, because I think of all of the justices, he's probably the most liberty-minded when it comes to these Fourth Amendment issues, or one of the most at least. And he seems to have pretty clear outlook on this. But how do we, as we tackle these issues, how do we balance that, legitimate law enforcement purpose with the advancing technology, because now we have the ability to do way more than the average police officer sitting on the street corner can do?
Thanks. That's a good question. So with, this issue of balancing is the way that many of us who went through law school in the last few decades or whatever have been taught to think about this, because there is a test from the 1960s that emerged called the reasonable expectation of privacy test. And it was a balancing test. You say, okay, the individual has an expectation of privacy, but is that expectation one that society is prepared to recognize as reasonable because of certain interests? And what I love about what Gorsuch is doing, and this is something that I've been doing in my own work, again, for decades, I shouldn't admit, but it's bringing principles of property and contract, common law principles to bear here, because again, what is our country founded on? It's founded on the protection of individual rights. And it is the contour of the application of that principle that does the balancing work that our founders intended, right? So in the case, I'm proposing for Flock that they retain data only about which they have particularized suspicions. And somebody can come back to me and say, look, there's going to be some crimes that are unsolved because if there's something that comes up 2 weeks later, maybe they could go back and find something in the database that would help them solve the crime. However, that's not adhering to the principle of individual rights. You might be able to solve more crime, sure, but we'd also be able to solve more crime if we enacted the whole of Orwell's 1984 and had all the screens and everything in our houses, right?
Mm-hmm. We're visiting with Amy Peikoff from the Pacific Legal Foundation. Okay, so let's get to the other part, kind of the back end part of what you were writing about in the op-ed. A can of spray paint is not an argument, which we'll tell you how to find that here in just a minute. A lot of people, not a lot, there are some people who are taking these into their own hands. They're saying this violates my rights, this violates my freedom. This is, whether they're right or wrong about that, and they're knocking these things down. They're saying it's to protect my Fourth Amendment rights and their Fourth Amendment rights. Courts take years. Court cases take years, especially major things like this. What's the message to the people who are destroying these things or taking them down or shooting paintballs at them or whatever they're doing?
I would say if they themselves go and read Justice Gorsuch's concurrence in the Chatrie case, Chatrie, which is just out this last term, they will see that there is hope in the courts to have their rights protected under the Fourth Amendment. And so it's too soon to give up and say all we can do back is, do is fight back with force. The other thing is there are a lot of legislators, good, well-meaning legislators who want to solve this problem. Now, some of them, and this is city councils too, some of them are saying, oh, we're going to rip out the cameras altogether. And again, that was another purpose of my piece, which is to say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are good and valid uses of this. The line to draw is between observing, which any police officer could do, and retaining the data without suspicion. And that's the thing that has led to all of the abuses of this technology, the misuses as well, right? They need to retain these files that they create with these cameras only if they have particularized suspicion about the person associated with the car, et cetera.
Amy, how do we factor in the fact that these often now are involving a third party? So like flock cameras, technically, they're not owned by the government. That's a third party company. Right. And some of the other, like some of the geofencing issues, that's coming from cell phone providers, that sort of thing. How do we factor in that third party in the equation? Because this isn't just a straight on citizen versus government relationship.
Right. Now, that was another issue, of course, that came up in Chatrie. And again, Justice Gorsuch's analysis of that is spot on. We at Pacific Legal Foundation happened to weigh in Chatrie with amicus briefs on behalf of an amicus client that we had. And we weighed in with basically exactly the what Gorsuch said in that case. So we're very happy that we've maybe helped push, that side of it along. With respect to Flock, however, Flock is not really a third party, right? Because Flock is contracting with the government. It is acting as a government agent. Whatever Flock collects, the government collects. And so it is a different situation. The third-party situation, as I said, if people are really interested in looking at that, the actual, Google wasn't acting as a third party. It was ordered by the government to turn up data that it had already collected as part of its business model, right? It provides location history to make all of our lives more convenient and better, right? That service. And then government says, oh, well, let's, see if we can get access to that database without a warrant. And Supreme Court said no, even for a slice of time, a short slice of time, it, this information concerns things about which, you have not only a reasonable expectation of privacy, but in Gorsuch's language, you own your location history record as an effect. Remember, the Fourth Amendment protects our persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Effects is one category of property. And sure enough, Gorsuch holds quite principally, quite consistently, you have a property interest in records that you entrust to third parties.
Yeah, Amy, I've just got a minute or so left here. So a lot of people would question whether or not the records and the data was deleted, even if they're ordered to do it. And are there any concerns that Flock, like social media, like Google, like banks sometimes, that they will also get a purpose out of all of this data for marketing and to sell it or to lease it like anything else? Yeah.
Definitely. I'm going to have a longer paper law review coming out about this. But one of the things I look at is that the Flock service provider agreements, while the customer, quote, owns the data, Flock expressly reserves a perpetual license for itself to all this data.
So government might delete it, but Flock could keep it.
That's a question, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe the government could delete it and then Flock wouldn't have access anymore. I'd have to look at that detail of it. But Flock, as of now, is probably exploiting that data.
Right. Okay. So, Amy, we find your article and follow your work how and where? At
pacificlegal.org. And the spray paint, can of spray paint is not an argument article is under our blog. So you can click on blog or articles and you'll find it there.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
That was interesting.
Thank you.
Very much so. Very much so. No, what else is interesting? Our bump music on Friday.
That's
Particularly when you send in your requests to Young Jerome here. This week's theme is summer songs, songs that remind you of summer. As we're kind of in the waning days of summer, what songs make you think of summer? Send those in to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On News Talk STL.
Mark your calendar for the annual Leadership for America Dinner 2026, Friday, September 25th at the St. Charles Convention Center Grand Ballroom. Join News Talk STL for an unforgettable evening featuring keynote speaker Nick Shirley, the independent journalist who exposed the alleged fraud in Minneapolis, plus additional speakers and guests, dinners included. So come hungry for great food and bold ideas. For tickets and more information, visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hey guys, it's Susie here. If you're thinking about replacing your windows, that's a big decision. It's an important decision. So you want to know you're going with a product and a company that you can trust. That's why I want to talk to you about Window World. Let's talk about their product. Window World windows are durable. They're secure. They're energy efficient. They're built with double strength glass, which is something that you don't typically see in replacement windows. They also come with a lifetime warranty. It covers parts, glass, breakage, labor. Plus, they don't just do windows. They do basically everything on the exterior of your home except for roofs or garage doors. But everything else, they got it. Also, you want a company you can trust. Well, you can trust Window World. They are committed to customer service. Their customer service team is available 7 days a week. That means if you've got a question, problem, issue, concern on the weekend, you can pick up the phone, call them. They will be there for you. Their commitment to customer service, it really shows because over half of their customers are repeat customers or referrals. They've also helped improve the look and energy efficiency of over 80,000 homes right here in the St. Louis area. Plus, their St. Louis location's been owned and operated by born and raised St. Louisans for more than 23 years. Plus, they're a company who cares. Over the years, they've helped raise over $4 million for charities like St. Jude and Action for Autism. And one other thing you're looking for, great value. Right now, 36 months, same as cash financing, is being offered by Window World. So What are you waiting for? Give Window World a call at 1-800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
I'm in my late 60s. My husband died a few years ago. He did all of our taxes. I sold a piece of property last year, and I forgot to claim the proceeds of the sale. Next thing I know, I got a letter from the IRS telling me that I owe over $50,000. Now I have a huge tax problem. I don't have that kind of money. I wish I knew who to call.
If you sold property in the last calendar year or didn't claim all of your part-time or even retirement income, you could be in big trouble with the IRS. Call first before they send you a letter. If you've already got a letter, call. We'll help you file years of past tax returns and save you time and money. So call the tax doctor. The call is confidential and free.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Interesting comment on the Rumble chat box. We've had a rare camellia sighting on Rumble. Americans for Prosperity doesn't support bans very often, but we support banning flock cameras. Interesting.
Liberty.
Yeah, very interesting there. Okay. All right. What time is it? 7:52 right now. Smoke is clearing, and we got the all clear back on the east side after that dangerous, potentially really dangerous fire that was big yesterday there. Also, federal officials are targeting fake marriages. So I'm going to give you the basics of what's happening here. I think, Jerome, in 8 o'clock hour, let's look at a little different angle to this. Why are so many Americans looking outside of America for whatever reason to find a spouse? Not just guys, although I would say it's probably mostly guys, but people are looking for a variety of reasons.
Oh, it's going to be an interesting discussion for the boys to have.
I think it will be, and I want everybody to chime in on that one. Cardinals had a pretty good night. I don't want to jinx anything, but like I said before, but are they on a roll right now? Let's do a quick news dump here.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by STL Fenceworks.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Okay, the shelter-in-place order affecting parts of the Metro East now lifted. The all-clear has been issued. The chemical fire at the Container Port Group facility in Sauget involved a chemical that's abbreviated TCCA. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this whole thing. And that is generally used for bleaching and killing bacteria, killing algae in swimming pools, things like that. The fire was contained within hours, and what is left of the smoke from the residual from that fire is expected to completely dissipate soon. No injuries are reported, and it's unlikely that there's going to be any long-term health or environmental effects of this.
Hopefully not. I want to add something about an Illinois news. They were just telling us the $1 billion Powerball ticket was sold in Quincy, Illinois.
I used to live in Quincy.
I know. This is why I thought I would mention that and throw that into the news.
And it
dump.
was
$1 billion ticket.
And it was one of the TV stations, I forgot which one it was the other day, they did a thing like, what happens if that happens? What happens if you are the one winner of the $1 billion? And they say, but then you only end up really with like $329 million after taxes. And I'm thinking, poor you?
Yeah. Woo-hoo.
Really?
I'm sorry. I'll take it. I will put up with that. I will sacrifice.
I think I can live with that. Exactly. Quincy, Illinois, huh?
Quincy, Illinois.
Oh, wow.
Somebody in Quincy is a happy camper this morning.
Okay. I'm going to look at Facebook and see if any of my old friends or classmates suddenly delete their account. We might know who it is. Oh, geez. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Okay. What else we got here? Okay. The Justice Department announcing on Wednesday that is charging 11 people, accusing them of organizing over 1,000 fake marriages. Now, when I say fake marriages, they're actual marriage licenses and marriages happened, but they're saying that they were a sham and that it was only to get citizenship and residency, in this case for Chinese nationals. Attorney General Todd Blanche pledging to step up this and other immigration, basically crackdowns.
Gaining American citizenship and legal status to reside in the
this great nation is a sacred privilege, and we will ensure it is always done in accordance with the law protecting our communities and national security.
Okay, so among the arguments against this, there have been some who said this is a First Amendment issue. I would assume they're saying freedom of association.
Yeah. That would be kind of right there in the middle of marriage.
Yeah. And so it's an interesting...
There's a lot of facets to
because I want them to crack down on all the illegal immigration. And I think that we've got the right to say some parts of the world, we don't need you. Other parts of the world, depending on what we need or what, that sort of thing. But I also am worried about the government saying we approve or we disapprove of this marriage.
Yep.
Now, we're not talking for cut and dry black and white reasons, age, abuse, stuff like that.
Right.
We're not talking trafficking. We're talking about, we don't think you're really in love. We don't think you're really I think we need to think a little farther ahead while still saying, no, we can crack down on a sham marriage industry, but let's also keep government in check here as well.
Yeah, well, who's to say you have to be in love to get married? I'm serious.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
We need to have a whole segment on this.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Caroline Leavitt leaving the Trump administration. President made that announcement on social media shortly after. Caroline Leavitt confirmed that with her own statement on social media. She is stepping down at the end of the month now that she and her husband have two
babies.
Yeah, two babies, both under the age of 3. I think it is.
Yeah, they might both be under the age
of 2, maybe.
At least under the age of 2.5.
The first one, I think, was born in 24.
Yeah, but this is 2026.
Right. So, yeah.
They've got 2 young children.
They have 2 little kids. Yep, exactly. Okay, a hearing in the lawsuit over a Missouri ballot referendum is set for Tuesday. Okay, it's going to be the first hearing in the dispute over the efforts to put the new congressional map up for a statewide vote. Secretary of State Denny Hoskins says that is not something the state constitution allows, and he rejected the measure despite supporters gathering far more than enough signatures to put an initiative on the ballot in normal circumstances. Missouri Supreme Court wants the case, including the appeals, to be settled by September 8th, which is the deadline to set the ballot for the November elections. Cardinals beat the Phillies last night. Final score was 7-1 at Busch Stadium. That means the Cardinals won the game, and they won the series 2-1. Cardinals are off today. They start a series with the Cubs in Chicago tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Bengal's restaurant offers an inviting atmosphere, neighborly service, and a vibrant happy hour scene, all in the heart of Warson Woods. From their kitchen to your plates, beloved comfort favorites like chicken parmesan and lasagna to steakhouse-style classics. Slide up to the vintage bar or hit the patio for happy hour specials every Tuesday through Friday. Bengal's Restaurant and Bar, 10017 Manchester Road. Check out the menu and reserve a table online at bengalsrestaurant.com.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, your financial friend with Serenity Wealth Management. You know, money has a way of funding our lifestyle, funding our fun, but you know what? We want to make sure it goes to causes we care about. We want those causes to be right here in our home state of Missouri. So joining me in the studio this week for the Serenity Wealth Now show, we have got Dave Wellborn of the Mo Better Foundation right here in the state of Missouri. So tune in, the Serenity Wealth Now show right here on News Talk STL, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. We'll see you there.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. News, analysis, opinion.
Saudi Arabia seeks to have a peaceful civil nuclear program. Other countries do as well. We have a similar agreement in place now with the UAE.
Take it out their first level of leadership. We then take it out their second level of leadership.
This is each branch of the military saying, here's what we need to restore our munitions, and the Democrats are blocking that funding.
I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1
for conservative talk. News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason.
On the heels of yesterday's report on consumer prices in July, this morning another indication that inflation is easing. The Labor Department reports that the rise in producer prices at the wholesale level, slowed last month, rising 4.7% in July from a year ago. That is down from a much larger 5.5% increase in June. It is a kind of story that's become more commonplace in recent years in Northern California. An illegal alien with a lengthy rap sheet and just released from jail, under arrest for allegedly killing a man in Martinez.
California's sanctuary city policies under scrutiny as an illegal alien with a long criminal history under arrest again, this time for stabbing a 68-year-old man to death. Court records show a California judge released the illegal the day before the murder. The gruesome crime, which took place in a neighborhood, caught on camera. The Department of Homeland Security posting on its X page, the California governor must not release this murderer from jail and turn him over to us so we can remove him from our nation. Laura Winters reporting.
Apparently there's big money, taxpayer dollars, in representing unaccompanied children in the country illegally.
Migrant children detained after entering the U.S. without their parents are usually entrusted to federal government care. And Congress has created various legal protections for them, including a 2008 law requiring the government to provide legal representation in deportation proceedings. Now, one law firm tapped to receive a $150 million federal contract has dropped out, while another firm, One Rescue, has been awarded a contract worth up to $244 million. Its founder resigned in 2023 amid allegations of misconduct. I'm Ben Thomas.
On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures are up 172 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
When it comes to our cars, those infotainment screens, turbos, advanced transmissions, and cameras are all great until they fail. And if your car is out of warranty, repairing them can cost thousands. I'm Danica Patrick. If your car is less than 20 years old, no matter the mileage, make sure you're covered for auto repair bills with an auto protection plan from Endurance. They've paid out hundreds of millions in claims and helped drivers with plans that cover engine, drivetrain, electrical system, transmission, and more. Endurance gives you straightforward claims processing and direct payment to your certified mechanic. And your rate won't go up no matter how many claims you file. When your check engine light comes on, don't ignore it because you're worried about a big auto repair bill. Call Endurance and choose the plan that's right for you. Act now and get 1 year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value, free.
For your free quote, call 800-292-8705. 800-292-8705. 800-292-8705.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards mid-90s, but feels like temperature could be up to 107 degrees in downtown St. Louis. We'll be seeing a few chances of some isolated showers and storms, some of which could have some stronger winds. Then into Friday, a few isolated chances of showers and storms drying up by the second half of the day. 98 degrees Friday. This weekend, we continue our first alert weather day coverage, though, lasting through Sunday, as it feels like temperatures all continue to climb back towards the triple-digit threshold. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
State Freedom Caucus, Unfiltered, Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL. Hear all the behind-the-scenes stories about what the State Freedom Caucus is doing across the country, directly from the legislators and the people that are doing it. State Freedom Caucus, Unfiltered, this Sunday night at 7 with your host, Tim Jones. State Freedom Caucus, Unfiltered, now Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL.
Calling all Patriots. Join the St. Louis County Republicans for the annual Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner, Saturday, September 19th at River City Casino. Our keynote speaker, Newsmax personality, Rob Carson. Enjoy a full night of fun and information alongside state and local officials and candidates. It's an evening you won't want to miss. Dinner and program, just $75. For tickets, email Renee Artman at hotmail.com or call 314-398-6667.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Ken and I survived no gravity day. A couple of bumps on the head. Other than that, we're good.
Yeah, Vic, and it's a good thing we survived because tomorrow we have Tony Kennett Thursday at 11:05.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Boo! Relax, nerd.
Susie Moore.
And that would be a good time to respond with some applause.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
That's a banana republic without the banana.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Have you heard about this, Jerome?
What's that?
Oh, my goodness. St. Louis County is going to fire hundreds of police officers. Or something like that.
Oh.
Well, Sam Page said it. It must be true.
Oh, Sam, you got to consider your sources, Mike.
Well, Sam Page says we're going to have to fire hundreds of police officers unless we raise taxes. So if he says it, then it's true, right?
It's got to be true.
All right. Well, let's double check with somebody who's in the mix there. County Councilman Mike Archer joins us right now. Mike, thanks for being on. I'm just shaking my head with Sam Page. One, still thinking he's super relevant to the decision-making process. But two, if somebody can't see that this is a scare tactic, I don't know what else to tell them. But let's talk about the claims that Sam Page says, unless we raise taxes, because he specifically called for raising taxes. He says, just increased revenue. We're going to have to we're going to have to get rid of upwards of 200 police officers. Can you dissect what's right, if anything, and what's wrong about his claims there?
Oh, my goodness. The sky is falling, Chicken Little. What is going on is again, he's not relevant. He's trying to make himself relevant. We have 150 police officers we're trying to recruit right now. So we don't, and we have the funding for 150 police officers. So we are not going to be cutting police officers at all, Mike, not at all. Mark Harder, who is the CDL for the police department, is of the same tack. We're not going to be cutting police officers. The other thing is that he wants to put the property that use tax back on the ballot in November. As you know, I was a co-sponsor on that use tax. I am opposed to putting that back on the ballot. The voters have spoken. It's not the will of the voters. And it also was thumped in Hillsdale and Berkeley, as well as in St. Louis County. And this is the second time in 2 years. So the voters have spoken. So we're going to have to cut spending, but it's not going to be at the expense of the safety and welfare of St. Louis County residents. So that's just the bottom line.
I was actually just talking to Mark yesterday about this. And at some point, we've got to watch Mark. He's going to hurt himself eye-rolling whenever Sam Page speaks because, Mark gets so frustrated with the nonsense that comes out of Sam Page's mouth, as we all do. But he actually pointed out a residual effect of this I'd never thought of. He said, we've got some in the law enforcement command structure, if you will, who are saying we've got young police officers who are hearing the county executive talk about firing 200 police officers. They know that they're among the last in. They'd be the first out under the union contracts. He said, we're worried about losing officers needlessly who are just worried about their job security. Are they going to leave for one of the cities or one of the other counties just because you got the head guy in the county talking about firing 200 people?
Yeah, the municipalities could make out like a bandit on this one because, a young St. Louis County officer who's got a young family would say, I don't need this nonsense of insecurity. I'm going to go with one of the municipalities who may pay more and give me better benefits. Mm-hmm. And that's been a drain on St. Louis County, for a few years. And now with this uncertainty, it adds to the mix of the police officers leaving and aggravates the problem of our recruiting effort as well too, Mike.
Yes,
it really, really does. Yeah.
And then the other thing that he's asking for is for you all to just simply vote to raise the property taxes. He says, well, there's a window you could do a little bit without a vote because it's already been approved. Based on just the sales tax vote and other votes that have been mixed at best when it comes to property taxes, I got to think, Mike, that people have had enough of some high property taxes too. Is there any appetite on the county council to raise taxes anywhere right now?
Absolutely not. And that is such a draconian measure. And like you pointed out, the voters are so adamantly opposed to new taxes that if we did that, I mean, there's going to be pitchforks outside of the county council chamber, and and torches. So no, there's just absolutely no appetite for that. And I've talked with several of my constituents about that, and there was that whole uproar when Jake Zimmerman had the assessments 2 years ago. And if you remember that uproar, and I think that it would be amplified if we increase the property taxes. So there's no appetite for that. There is an appetite for cutting expenditures that we don't need. And what we need to do is we need to look at the charter and then say what is required of the charter, and everything else is on the chopping block. And Sam Page doesn't know what's in the charter. He hasn't read the charter, really not even curious about what's in the charter. So that's kind of where that goes. So that's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that he's trying to present himself as Mr. Fiscal Responsibility. Of course, he doesn't want us talking about his criminal indictment or the ethics investigations, but suddenly he's Mr. Fiscal Responsibility, pointing out about the deficit that the county has, which has been a topic of discussion for years and keeps getting bigger anyway.
Right, and he wants to put the use tax back on the ballot in November, which I already told you I'm adamantly opposed to. But he says he wants to do an educational campaign. I'm like, dude, you're under indictment for that. The educational campaign. And I'm like, do you have no sense of what you're saying? But irrespective of that, he is the reason why that we've hit this iceberg. We could have steered clear of it, a few years ago. And that's just the fact of the matter, is that he's not fiscally responsible. And now he is calling us out for his irresponsibility.
We're visiting with County Councilman Mike Archer from St. Louis County. Okay, one change that was passed this week regarding the senior property tax freeze. The county council voted, just so people know, to eliminate the requirement that people reapply and renew every year. So basically, once you're qualified, I guess unless you move, you're just assumed to be qualified. That seems like a common sense thing, but I think I saw a quote, I think it was from you in one of the news articles, that was saying, yeah, not only is it, less of a pain in the butt for the people who are benefiting from this, but man, that could actually help streamline the process and take a lot of workload off of the county employees.
Exactly. And they were between a rock and a hard place arguing against that with Department of Revenue, because, my question was to the acting director was, well, nobody's getting any younger, correct? And she's like, well, yeah. And I said, and secondly, we have the ability to know that when somebody dies, that we could marry that into the Department of Revenue system or the assessors to say that person no longer is there. And she's like, well, yes. And I said, and wouldn't that relieve some of the workload? And she's like, well, yes. And I led her down that path, through cross-examination. And, she was rather embarrassed that she was actually agreeing with me in terms of lessening the workload. So that's what we're going to have to do, and along those same lines, with Mark Harder handling the police department, some of the people that were doing the back office stuff, clerical, like sex offender registration records, we had uniformed police officers doing that. They put those men and women back out on the streets and replaced those with clerical people, which makes a lot of sense at a much less cost. So those are some of the efficiencies that we're looking at.
Okay, now, do we have any indication whether Sam Page is going to sign or try to veto that proposal to end the annual renewal?
Depends on the phase of the moon. I don't know on that one. Again, he would be between a rock and a hard place on that one if he vetoes it, and it's going to be all for naught because we've got the votes to override that veto. Now, obviously, I can't speak for the rest of the council members, but it takes 5 to override, and it passed. It passed.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got enough to override his veto, even if he does. So that's not really a concern of mine, because he's going to be vetoing a lot, and he's vetoing items that he can't veto, like charter amendments that are passed by the council. So yeah, that's where I am on that, Mike.
Yeah, I guess, and obviously, you're backing Dennis Hancock in this race. But the good news is regardless of who wins the next county executive race, I got to think it's going to be better than what we've got right now, whether it's Dennis or whether it's Jake.
Oh, dear God, we can't go any further down. Yeah. So, yes.
All right. Mike Archer, County Councilman, really appreciate the update on this. And we're going to watch to see, it's going to be interesting to see what Sam Page does regarding the property tax renewal thing, because it seems like the whole point of asking for it to be renewed every single year is hoping some people forget or some people just get confused by the process and they can kick some people off, is what it just seems like was the intent.
I think you're exactly right, Mike, on that one. And particularly with an elderly population that's not computer savvy, I think that amplifies your point.
All right, Mike, we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you. Bye.
All right, don't forget, Susie and I are going to be at Mario's Donut Restaurant tomorrow on Mugi Road. I'm pretty sure their doors open at 6 a.m. I'm going to be there before that. But, hey, you're going to get a cup of coffee somewhere. You're going to get maybe a donut or a breakfast sandwich somewhere. Come on out, hang out for a few minutes, or sit down and grab a table near us and we'll hang out while we do the show. I can tell you that one of our statewide elected officials is going to be there in person. So if you want to meet that person, get your picture taken, they're going to be there. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. It's going to be a lot of fun on the Flashback Friday at Mario's Donuts. Think about it, Jerome. Flashback Friday, donuts, coffee. Does it get any better than that? Of course not.
You want to give me more information. You want to take the place of what I trust.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Democrat policies don't work, and they destroy every community that they are in charge of.
On News Talk STL.
You know why I don't feel bad grabbing a donut from Mario's every once in a while? Because I take really good care of my health and my nutrition, and I'm very careful with it. And it's not hard to do because I work with my friends at Nutrition Stop. NutritionStop.com, of course, right there on Mexico Road, just off I-70 and Cave Springs Road. This is where I get my proteins for before and after my workouts. This is where I get my nutrition. This is where I get my vitamins. And it's different because Nutrition Stop only works with companies and only works with products that are natural, that are proven to be healthy, that eschew all of the nonsense ingredients and stuff out there. They were doing this long before RFK Jr. invented the term maha, okay? They've been doing this for years, for over 20 years, this locally owned business, and I am telling you that I still get comments, what are you doing, Mike? What are you doing? I am thinner, and I have lost a lot of weight, but I'm also stronger. I'm 54 years old, and I feel like I'm 30 again, 35 again. That's really how I feel. And it's easier to do when you have people like those at Nutrition Stop who know what they're doing. They're passionate about you. They're passionate about your health. They're passionate about doing it right. And they will answer your questions and lend you their expertise. Check them out. Go visit them in person. Say, all right, Mike was talking about this. Here's my question. Here's what I want to do. They'll get you there. Or nutritionstop.com.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
JC's Wayback Machine.
Sunday is the anniversary of the King falling off the throne, so we'll crack open our extensive Elvis file. The Beatles performed at Busch Stadium this week in '66. We'll remember the stadium worker whose only job that day was to keep the boys from being electrocuted. And who are these people who talked to the Post and expressed mixed reactions about GNR being here Sunday? Brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's the Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, you know, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I don't remember who sang the old country song. I'm sure somebody will let me know on social media. Remember that old song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places?
Yep.
I don't recall who sang that. Or maybe Looking for Love in the Right Places that just aren't America.
Ooh.
Is that possibility too? So the political stuff is kind of reopening up another conversation. And it's funny because you and I were just talking about this before the show a little bit earlier today. The DOJ has now charged 11 people with running this decades-long, essentially, marriage scam. Now, when I say scam, though, the marriages were actually legal marriages, you know, and it was basically leveraging marriage in order to help Chinese nationals gain residency and citizenship in the United States. So, you know, we've heard about anchor babies that were stopping. Again, a lot of that's from China. But then you have basically anchor spouses. And I've known people over the course of my life who did the anchor spouse thing. I've actually known some of these people. And they can come from anywhere in the world. It's like, I want to be here. My country sucks, or I want to get away. I've got an opportunity. And how do you do that? Well, find an American to marry you. Mm-hmm. Well, there's probably one out there lonely enough to do it,
Yeah.
you know. But in this case, they were recruiting Americans and paying them to marry. And then there was this basic, here's how you create an illusion of a relationship leading up to marriage because they're going to check that. And so there's criminal indictments now, 11 people on this. But that's not the same thing as so many Americans looking abroad for spouses. Now, I've known some people, number of people in my life who have been in other countries and met somebody who became their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, that you know, it happens.
Yeah. There
are also the so-called mail order bride things. When I was married the first time, my wife is my first wife from the Philippines. Now, I think she had 3 sisters in the United States when we were married back in the 90s. And the woman to whom I was married at the time, she was the only one in her family who was not a mail order bride.
Wow.
We met through a common friend. And but her 3 sisters that were in the U.S., one was in Arizona, and the other one was in Florida, and the other one was actually in Kansas. All 3 of them mail order brides. There was a whatever service that you use, the guys, much older guys, subscribe to looking for a younger wife. And that's what they got. Well, now you've got services that basically say, go with us and we're going to take you on a 2-week or month-long tour of name the country. It could be an Asian country, a South American country, before the war started, like Ukraine and Russia and places like that. And these guys would be given a tour. One, they got to do a lot of sightseeing and touristy stuff, but then they set up speed dating. And then they said, okay, here, we're going to assign you a translator if that helps. And if you find somebody you like, here's all the date options you can do. And so they were going there specifically to look for a wife from somewhere else, not American.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you got the whole passport bro thing. And for those who don't know the passport bro thing, let's explain what that is. Because the videos are all over social media, and it's basically American dudes, bunch of different age groups. Some of them are like your age, 20s, 30s, and then some of them are retirees and they're older, and they've just decided they're going to find a wife somewhere else. They're going to go to Thailand. They're going to go to the Philippines. They're going to go to Cambodia. They're going to go to Colombia. They're going to go to Argentina. They're going to go to wherever. Like I said, until the war broke out, you could have said Ukraine. And they're just going to look for somebody who's not American to be a spouse. And that's the passport bro. For a variety of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with this?
Well, I mean,
opening the can of worms
yeah,
here.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to be very careful about
314-912-1019. Yep.
I don't want Susie.
Oh, Johnny Lee sang that song. Thank you, 101 Straight Up and PMS. Appreciate that. Yep.
Yeah, I don't want Susie Moore coming in here and smacking me upside the head for saying the wrong thing. But there is a very fundamentally different way that people, the sexes approach dating and view long-term goals now, and it's been very much this way since probably the 70s or 80s now. To where there are other cultures that have maybe progressed in the right ways, but they continue their traditional and cultural views of what marriage is like, what a relationship's like. And I think that the United States has just gotten so far out of that realm that both sides are really not finding what they want anymore with our current culture. I mean, I've tried to date a few people, and my view is that the ultimate thing that a man can do is to be a great husband and a great father. The ultimate thing that a woman can do is to be a great mother and a great wife, right? I've tried to explain that to people that are dating for like long-term goals type dating, and they view that as misogynistic.
I was about to ask, like, when you say that to like the women you're dating or you're hoping to date, did anybody like take offense at you saying that?
A lot of them, even some so-called right-leaning women are like that.
Yeah. Okay. See, then that's an important distinction, because I think that has permeated American culture so much, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, but I think that's among the prevailing thoughts. Now, have you talked to your guy friends about that, and have any of them gotten offended when you said that?
Not a single one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, a lot of the guys, especially the younger guys that I talk to, we are returning to the mindset of, no, men need to be providers. That's what all of human history has been, is that men typically are more suited and better capable of fighting off the bears that attack the village, or going out and clubbing down a mammoth so we can eat, or something like that, right? Like, that's the mentality. Now, it's not to say that, she needs to be barefoot in the kitchen all day, right? But at the same time, the prevailing seeming logic is that when you're young as a woman, then you should be able to go out and have fun, build up your career, be a boss girl, go out and be an independent, strong woman. And then much later on in life, when you're finally decide if you're ready to settle down or not.
You had your fun.
Yeah, you
now go do what's not fun and have a family.
Yeah, but the issue with that is that usually the ages of the women are at that point, it becomes sometimes more complicated to have a child. It becomes much later on in life because you're not and I'm speaking from experience, not trying to stereotype. But a lot of the women that have this mentality, they view it as at some point they'll find somebody to take care of them, and then they can stay at home and do their stuff. They're not viewing it in the sense of, well, I'm going to be setting aside my money to start planning on this. So it's like, have all the fun now, and then make it somebody else's problem.
Okay, so I'm going to say this kind of as an observer, and I'm not trying to start stuff, but I probably will. And that is, this is one of the elements, because you pointed out, you're like, even you've encountered a number of women who are on the right, probably conservative and in many other ways active, and they still didn't like your traditional view of that. This is a ripple effect of the first, second, and third waves of feminism.
Oh, yeah.
Which has absolutely affected the traditional foundations of our society. Now, somebody can argue that it's modernizing and it's a good thing. Okay, we can have that debate, but I'm just saying is that the effect is absolutely very, very real, and I don't know that you can deny connecting A and B there.
Exactly, and again, these are the single people. I'm not saying that I've met people's wives that act like that, because usually if you're smarter than that and you know better, then you're married already. But then I'll also point out that there are a lot of really scummy men out there, a lot of
totally
users, abusers, manipulators, stuff like that will sometimes present themselves as nicer, more confident, more provider type people, and so then you have that reoccurring theme of I got my heart broken too many times, or you have guys out there that are just causing a bunch of problems for everybody, and it makes it harder to get a first chance to demonstrate yourself in that manner. Whereas in some of these other cultures, it is the whole point of a relationship is to blossom into something long term. You're not just dating to try out the waters to see, going on test drives with cars. It's like quite literally, is this somebody that you're going to want to have a family with? Is this somebody you're going to want to marry and then live the rest of your life with? And I think that those cultures sometimes are a little bit more rare now, but I think that's sort of the appeal of maybe looking at some of these other cultures and finding somebody maybe you could bring back to the United States.
Yeah, and so a lot of these guys just kind of feel like, to your point you just said, they feel they're going to have better success finding someone who buys into that more traditional set of values somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
they might be right. I mean, I'm sure that there are young American women out there who view it the same way. I don't know if there are nearly as many as in previous generations. And so you've got this considerable divide between the two sexes, the two genders. And yes, there are only two, that's increasing in so many different areas. And you're seeing this reflected in this, and you're seeing it reflected in political views and in cultural views. And the Institute for Family Studies has been tracking this for years. And what they're seeing year after year after year, the divide between male and female isn't just, we have a difference of opinion. Isn't that cute? No, it's resulting in fewer marriages succeeding, fewer children. And is having a massive effect on all of this. Culture and the changes in culture, good or bad, have ripple effects on everybody.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I've also observed the opposite effect where very good women end up with these very weak men that don't really give them any sort of that feeling of what they want out of the relationship. And so then they start looking at which other cultures have men that are a little bit maybe more dominant, maybe a little bit more serious. They're not stuck playing video games in the basement all day with no ambitions in life. Yeah. So who knows?
Check out the stream right now. There's some really fascinating comments coming from a lot of different people on this discussion. So, some of the comments are coming off Rumble, some are coming off Facebook, but they're all going up many of them are going up on the stream itself, the video stream. Check that out and jump in and get part of that conversation.
The only thing that says I'll never be like you. Every time I see myself, I can't picture my ideal.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards mid-90s, but feels like temperature could be up to 107 degrees in downtown St. Louis. We'll be seeing a few chances of some isolated showers and storms, some of which could have some stronger winds. Then into Friday, a few isolated chances of showers and storms drying up by the second half of the day. 98 degrees Friday. This weekend, we continue our first alert weather day coverage, though, lasting through Sunday, as it feels like temperatures all continue to climb back towards the triple-digit threshold. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
Fox News commentary with Johnny Joey Jones. Next.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Here's Johnny Joey Jones on the Democratic Socialist of America.
When you talk about abolishing prisons, abolishing police, stuff like that, now you're getting more radical as far as people's daily lives. I will say this, though. According to Gallup, 66% of Democrats have a favorable view of socialism. So it's not mainstream. Maybe what brand of socialism, what professor you had in college and how they presented it to you, maybe that has something to do with it. But when you think about, now a solid 2 generations, when we look at millennials and now Gen Z that are coming into adulthood and have had college professors preach this to them, it becomes much more palatable to people because they see the academic romanticized version. They're not even listening to the actual politicians and some of the radical ideas. They're just picking up on that word socialism. And the truth of it is the stretch from Democrat, Socialist of America, and communism is how palatable they're trying to make it for people to want to vote for them.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
I think we started something on social media. That's a fascinating discussion that's happening.
All I'm hearing from these comments is that it's not Jerome's fault he's single. It's everybody else not joking. No, but this has been a very interesting dynamic of things because, I mean, things are more complicated than just any one sort of thing. But it's something I think a lot, the male loneliness epidemic is a literal observable thing
And it's
right now.
not just like the War of the Roses kind of stuff. I mean, it's a bigger, massive trends. And we see the videos on social media and we tend to think, okay, content creator blowing things out of proportion. But it came from somewhere.
If you want a good example of what it's like to date as a younger person, go on TikTok and look at the advice that these snarky, boss babes are giving, and then you can clearly understand where a lot of this sort of friction is coming from.
Yeah,
and same thing with the Andrew Tate kind of men that are teaching that toxic masculinity.
Do not,
crap.
And I think one of the issues is that younger men, and maybe older men who've been burned later in life, and they've essentially said we're not chasing anymore, and there's not a lot of pursuit. And there's, I think, a lot of confusion. We're just one of those stages where there's a lot of confusion when it comes to trends and culture and all that sort of stuff in relationships.
Well, and before we get to the next topic, the other thing too is if I recollect on my own experience, I mean, I think boys are really lacking positive male influences in society right now.
Absolutely.
And there was from 2013-ish, 2012-ish until literally, I would say probably 2024, 2025, the whole idea was that men are evil, men are bad, you're all sexist, you're all bad. And so guys just sort of like, well, if this is all we have to pick from, then what incentive do we have to actually man up?
And then, okay, I'm going to be a passport bro. How dare you? Well, you got all these women right here, but you hate me.
Yeah. I mean, being masculine is toxic and evil, but then you're mad at me for being too soft and weak. Like that's,
yeah, exactly. All right. Keep those conversations going. I'm looking at some of those on the stream that are just coming through. Really interesting stuff. Okay. Man, flock cameras are in the news. Yes. A lot on this. We had, the conversation I knew would be interesting. It was far more interesting than even what I was hoping for earlier, and that's going to be on the podcast. Amy Peikoff from the Pacific Legal Foundation gave some perspective on the whole flock surveillance thing. And we say flock, that's the generic term. There are other companies that do the same thing.
This applies to like license plate readers.
Right.
Others,
yeah. Flock is just the biggest brand name on it.
Yeah.
But she had some really interesting legal background that puts some of this into perspective, but then also said, here's where she thinks that those who just want them all torn down should reconsider. And she said those who think that they should just run wild and record everything need to reconsider a lot as well. Now, she was far more anti-flock than what I think that initial description would describe. But check out that podcast. It'll be up here in an hour and a half or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, just under an hour.
A little bit, yeah. It'll be up there. So make sure you're subscribed to Mike Ferguson in the Morning. And that's interesting. When you see that debate that happens on your social media, just click that link and just put it in there saying, hey, guys, here's an interesting discussion. Really balanced. Check that out. And then you can kind of spur that conversation on in a good way. Because what we're seeing around the country more and more are people taking things into their own hands. Mm-hmm. I don't like this. That violates my rights, I believe, violates First Amendment. Government is tracking us. This is a surveillance state. How are they doing it? Well, with things like that.
Yeah.
And then they're cutting them down and they're destroying the property, or they're, putting something over the camera, paint or whatever, and they're doing all these things. And well, that's actually a crime. And I think some people say, well, that's a crime and it's destroying private property or government property, depending on how the contract reads. And others are saying, well, it's civil disobedience to protect our rights.
Yeah, I mean,
first of all, I'm not saying go destroy somebody else's property, period.
I don't want to encourage that sort of behavior, but at the same time, the Boston Tea Party was not a request, may we please get rid of some of this tea because we're upset. I mean, that it took sometimes in the history of America, there have been moments like that where it's like, we're going to send this example. You're not getting it when we try peacefully. You're not getting it when we make requests. We can't afford the legal process, because the average person as a whole, it's very lengthy and complicated, and you've already made the decision to follow through with this. So I get the frustration of saying, you know what, this is the quickest, easiest, and most self-gratifying way of taking care of this.
I think self-gratifying is a big part of it.
Yes, but is it going to actually have the effect, or does this company already have enough money to just throw up another one and get you convicted?
Well, and there are so many other factors on this that we spoke with Amy. One of the things that we don't know is who's accessing all this data. I mean, for instance, we live in a surveillance state right now, and a lot of it is in the private sector, the private market. We are self-surveilling every day when we carry our phones around. That's being tracked, and that data is being sold. When you post on social media, that data is being sold. You know why social media is free?
Because you're the product.
Because you're the product. And so there's the voluntary aspect of that. And then with Flock, the argument is this isn't voluntary. So check out that conversation. Our friend Glenn Jacobs, soon to be term limited out mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. He was been on the show a couple times. We've done events with him, or an event with him. And he was giving a speech, and Young Americans for Liberty took a clip of him talking about Flock cameras. And I thought some of the things that he argued were really interesting. So here's what he said, and I'll just apologize in advance. When they did the video clip, they put some bed music on it that was kind of weird. But anyway, you can hear what Glenn's having to say. So here's what Glenn Jacobs had to say about Flock cameras.
These Flock cameras are all the rage across the country. The danger with Flock cameras is they're sold as license plate readers. We've had those for a long time. License plate reader, your car drives by. If it has a certain license plate number, stolen car, looking for a murderer, Amber Alert, it flags it. Hit, police know the car, pass that camera. Okay, they go look for it. Flock cameras do really the opposite. They collect every license plate. They make a digital fingerprint of your car. Make, model, color, roof rack, bumper stickers. And the real danger is this. When they're deployed in large numbers, they essentially create a warrantless mass surveillance system because they can track your movements. What's interesting is the Supreme Court has already ruled against this sort of thing. 2018, there was a case reached at the Supreme Court, Carpenter versus the United States, in which the FBI had been warrantlessly collecting historic cell phone location data about this Carpenter guy. And the court said, you have to have a warrant to do that. Flock cameras are doing that, but they're doing that literally on steroids. They are a massive threat to our liberty, and it is just not compatible with the values of Americans.
Okay, neither is that bed music, but still.
Yeah.
The argument that he's making there also stops short of, and maybe Glenn talked about this later in his presentation, is that we don't know what Flock or the other companies are doing with the data. Are they renting it? Are they selling it? Amy Peikoff from Pacific Legal told us earlier that many of these contracts, even if the government is required to delete the files, delete the database, many, possibly all of them, carve out, but Flock doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a lot of really valuable marketing information or research information that can be sold or can be rented from that. Well, the information's there, whether they're doing it or not. We just don't really know. This is another part of the problem with a surveillance state that is run by directly or contracted out directly by government officials. And we haven't had this technology. License plate readers have been around. And I would argue there might even be a difference between license plate readers on a police car versus stationary ones that says, I'm going to get the license plate of every single person who drives over the bridge over the Missouri River on I-70.
Yeah, everybody that is, because again, with if you look at the maps of how these are actually placed out, it's everybody leaving from this specific cul-de-sac neighborhood apartment complex. Here's every route that they take. Here are all the stores that they stop at and leave from. Here are all the places that they pass by. Here's where they stay for prolonged periods of time, and it's mapping out your entire daily routine.
And here's the thing: is you've got a lot of law enforcement now pushing back on this, and some of the people that we ally with on a lot of different issues. Okay, and I know I've just got a minute or so left here, but they're arguing, but they have helped us catch dangerous people in real time, and they have. That's true. That is one of the emotional arguments on it and a factual argument on that. But then your question is, okay, what's the cost? Do the rest of us agree to be tracked? Well, if you're not doing anything wrong, what do you have to worry about? That never goes wrong in government, right? In history, right?
Nobody's ever arbitrarily changed what is legal and illegal based on a political narrative. I mean, there's never been false positive identifications that have gotten people injured or hurt. I mean,
except that there has been. And 15 years ago when, or back in, when people were starting to rediscover Orwell, what are you worried about? It's not like we're going to have cameras tracking everywhere you go. Well, that sounds absurd. It sounded absurd at the time. Well, now somebody's saying, well, don't worry about it. I mean, it's not like we're going to put cameras in everybody's house so people can watch you to make sure you're not doing anything wrong. Well, people are doing that themselves now. And then asking if they can tap into your home cameras, whether it's Ring on the outside or security on the inside. We're not that far from that.
This is the baby steps before it can walk phase.
Oh,
and we are sitting by, and yeah, it's interesting. Well, if you are somebody that does not want to be tracked but enjoys having access to conversations and technology, we have a free app that we do not share with Flock. And we will not be surveilling you and seeing where you are out and about, but we would like to maybe get some stories on, hey, I was at this place listening to the News Talk app. I think that'd be a cool little adventure. So download the free News Talk STL app so you can also hear when we call for 80s bump music for Flashback Friday. This week's theme are those summer songs, the songs that make you think pleasantly and reflect on summer days of the old, no, I shouldn't say old, sorry, Mike and Susie, of the past. So give me some of your favorite summer tunes to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com and let me know when you're listening so you can hear your request.
Did you just segue between teases and promos?
I'm becoming a trained professional, Mike.
You just segued. Look at you.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free Market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall selling picture postcards in Kansas City to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the Free Market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
He's played the president's chief of staff, and a couple of his sons have been in lots of movies and TV shows. Martin Sheen is this week's A-List Interview of the Week. Plus, you'll hear Tom Petty's demo for Into the Great Wide Open and some acoustic stuff from Jeff Lynne, all brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9 on News Talk STL.
The perfect body, the perfect face. It's like
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up with a quick look at what you need to know as you're heading into work as we get ready to wrap up here and get ready to do the show from Mario's in St. Charles tomorrow. 8:50 right now. All right, the smoke is pretty much cleared out, and the all clear is issued on the east side in that dangerous chemical fire situation. Got some really good news and updates on this. Federal officials targeting sham fake marriages, sort of. I mean, they're marriages, but what led to them was fake.
Ooh.
Yeah. And Cardinals, have a good night and have a good series. Let's go ahead and do one more news dump here.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Great American Divers.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, the shelter-in-place order we told you about yesterday that affected some large parts of the Metro East area, that's now lifted, and the all-clear has been issued. It was a chemical fire at the Container Port Group facility in Sauget, and that involved a chemical called TCCA, which is used for bleaching, killing bacteria, killing algae in swimming pools, things like that. The fire was contained within hours, and what's left of the smoke, because there was this massive black plume of smoke that was dangerous. And that's what the shelter-in-place order was for, was because it could be an eye, lung, and skin irritant, or not could be, it is. But that plume of smoke is gone. It's dissipated. There are still remnants out there. That's all expected to dissipate soon. No injuries are reported. That's the good news.
And if you have any gardens in that area, I would wash them off, hose them off a little bit more before you touch them.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Because chemicals like that can stick on the stuff, and you think you're eating a nice little garden veggie, and next thing you know, you're in pain.
Yeah, I mean, think about the things that you're using, like to clean your swimming pool, that sort of stuff.
Things that should not be in your body.
Right, things that should not be in your body. Yep. All right, the Justice Department announcing this week that it's charging 11 people, accusing them of organizing and recruiting over 1,000 what they're calling fake marriages.
Ooh.
Legal marriages, but they're saying it was basically a sham to beat the immigration system and getting people from China into the U.S. who otherwise would not have qualified, except they were able to find somebody to marry them.
So kind of like an Ilhan Omar situation.
Allegedly, right?
Allegedly.
Here's Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Gaining American citizenship and legal status to reside in this great nation is a sacred privilege, and we will ensure it is always done in accordance with the law protecting our communities and national security.
Now, among the parts of what these suspects are accused of is recruiting Americans to become the spouse, paying them to do that, and then also coaching them on how to create a social media and paper trail so that you would be able to argue, see, it's a real relationship that led to marriage, because the government's going to look at that. Opponents of the move say it threatens free speech, freedom of association, maybe they're talking about. And I also just want to point out that I think what's happening here is probably criminal because it's fraud. But I also don't want to go, yes, government, make sure that you're approving the marriages and you believe people are in love.
I agree entirely with that. Again, marriage should be, a union before God. But if they're going to be doing that and you're so willing to help defraud our immigration system, I say you keep the marriage valid, but you still deport them together to wherever they came from.
That's right. Or, you deport the one who defrauded the system. It's like, well, your wife or your husband, what are you going to do? It's up to you.
You're going with them. You participated.
Yeah. All right. Governor Kathy Hochul out in New York, joining State Attorney General Letitia James, Mayor Zoran Mamdani, announcing they're spending about $7 million in taxpayer money in order to cover the legal defense of about 104,000 unaccompanied migrant children, a.k.a. children in the country, brought in the country most likely illegally, protecting them from the threat of removal by the federal immigration enforcement agencies. They're calling this part of an operation to combat ICE overreach. So basically, either through their own fault or not through their own fault, they're here illegally, and we're going to spend $7 million of taxpayer money to try to keep them from being deported, is what they're saying.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I do feel bad for these children, but at the same time, I mean, you can't just have people dropping their kids off here willy-nilly and creating an orphanage society.
Yeah, and does their criminal activity create a burden for the rest of us, a bound that binds us. Here's Border Czar Tom Homan. He was on Hannity last night on Fox.
Since I've been Border Czar, I wrote these numbers down. Since I've been Border Czar, New York State has denied 14,000 detainers, over 14,000 detainers. Who are they? 6,800 illegal aliens with assault convictions, 800 convictions for child crimes. Don't tell me you're trying to protect children.
All right. And, of course, this is just a broader part of the immigration enforcement issue as well here. Caroline Leavitt leaving the Trump administration. President made that announcement on social media. Then shortly after, Caroline Leavitt posted her own statement on that, confirming the change. The 28-year-old press secretary is stepping down at the end of the month to focus on her family now that she and her 60-year-old husband, Nicholas Riccio, have a new baby. That makes 2 babies for them. And so she basically says, I'm going to be a mom, but I suspect that we have not heard the last of Caroline Leavitt. There's probably a book. There may be a column. I'm sure she'll end up doing some punditry and commentary and things like that. But she was one of the most fiercely loyal members of the Trump administration.
And I have to admit, it was very refreshing having her be the secretary after the Biden debacle.
Yeah, I mean,
people that were picked for that.
Yeah, and Karine Jean-Pierre and Jen Psaki. I think Jen Psaki was good at what she did. She was obviously just full of crap. KJP was just terrible at what she did. She was awful.
And I wish them the best, and hopefully, I mean, I'm proud of her for picking family over the job right now.
Yeah, that's the right decision. Jen Psaki, I think, was a worthy opponent. KJP, no. And Caroline, Leavitt, she's obviously very, very, very young. And so she was basically hired to be the one to do battle, the influencer to do battle with the media. And she even took some shots at the media on her way out on that. But she's going to be there about 2 more weeks. We don't know who's going to replace her. Honestly, I don't know anything about any of the people that media and pundits are saying are the contenders. I have no idea who it's going to be.
Marco Rubio.
I think he's got a gig. He's pretty busy already. Okay, the Cardinals win the game, and that means they win the series against the Phillies, which is frankly much better record. The Redbirds scored in the 2nd, 5th, and 7th innings en route to a 7-1 win at Busch Stadium. Kyle Leahy gets his 9th win of the season with that one. Cardinals are off today. They start a series with the Cubs in Chicago tomorrow. Don't forget, also tomorrow, Susie and I are going to be at Mario's Donuts restaurant, which is on Mugie Road in St. Charles. We're doing the show from there. Come on out, say hi, get a cup of coffee from Mario's and a donut or a breakfast sandwich, and let's just hang out.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast